Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. I hope everyone enjoyed your Easter yesterday. But tonight, the drivers get prepared for racing action. After having a week off, the ISRC Truck Series are prepared to tackle the second half of the regular season. This is going to be probably one of their tougher tasks that they're entering into, as Gateway here tonight is going to be a special race for some of these drivers. Haven't seen this track since season 3. That was the only time they've ran this track. Some are prepared, some are excited for the track, but I know there's one driver that's super excited for it, as tonight's race is the Cody's super epic and cool Gateway 120. And Cody Reed hoping for redemption here tonight. Certainly going to be a fun one for us to cover here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Zach Hall. And Zach, having a week off, it's nice to always have that week off, but I think for the driver, they really needed it after the way that these last two races have ended.
Have definitely ended in some particularly interesting fashion for sure, those past few races. And that week off, I think a lot of drivers use that to good avail, and we'll see how they regroup and get ready here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway. And what an awkward racetrack itself, and it's going to produce some interesting racing, I think, tonight. So, it's that part of the stretch of the schedule, like we talked about coming into, that this could be where the drama flares up, and it's kind of already has.
It certainly can, and I think more drama could be entering in, as this season's kind of been the return season, you could say. We've had a total of 8 drivers return before tonight. Well, we can add another one to the list. Even a driver that was banned over a season and a half ago, now going to be in a new scheme, new colors. Ethan Smith is back. And Zach, I know the whole entire field, they've been harping about, hey, we want to see if Ethan can come back. And they are now getting their wish made. Ethan Smith will be out on track, the winner of this one race back in season 3.
It is great to see, a past winner come back. And even Ethan, it's great to have him back. He was definitely a very big figure in ISRC history. And, it's good to have a driver like himself return. And definitely think he'll be on a redemption tour from the ending of how it all played out for him there. So we'll see how it plays out for Ethan. I'm sure a little bit rusty, maybe don't know how much he's kept up with the racing side of things on iRacing, but I think tonight could be a telltale sign because, again, this kind of is one of those tracks that always suited that driver's style.
It certainly did, and Ethan Smith, the driver that got the pole, led the most laps, and won this race back in season 3. There were also 13 cautions during that race, but everyone is excited for it as we're going to head down to trackside and get ourselves prepared for qualifying. I've just finished up practice, but qualifying on screen, and Tyler Dangler in the 19 on screen, running a special scheme. That is the scheme that his girlfriend ran last week. Now, the drivers of the ISRC Truck Series took it off, but the better half dash for the drivers, having their sisters, girlfriends, and even a father was out on track on Monday night, and Tyler Dangler's girlfriend, Lindsay, was the one that took the gold for the Better Half Dash. It was their second ever Better Half Dash race, and Tyler's excited to be running this scheme here tonight and for a couple of more races, just honoring his girlfriend with the win. But Tyler, not confident or comfortable at this course. He's just hoping for a solid day, and I think that's what the mentality for a lot of drivers are coming into tonight. Zach, like you said, a very unique racetrack that these drivers are dealing with at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Some would say it's a flat Darlington, but it certainly is shaped pretty close to that course.
It is. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, if you could compare it to really anywhere, it would be Darlington. But if you drove the tracks back to back, you would say these places are not shaped the same, but they are. It's just, a egg-shaped track. One end of the track is shorter, or, a tighter radius corner compared to a longer radius corner. And here at Gateway, they're trying to represent multiple different styles of corners here, so it's very interesting. That personally 3 and 4 off the Milwaukee Mile kind of basic. It's kind of based off that we seen last week. I think a lot of drivers could take some of that what they learned last week and apply it here, as qualifying times are coming through. It's like so far GT is already top of the board, so great for the 14 team.
And GT Rosario, that's based off his 2 laps, as all drivers were given 2 laps to put down their fastest time and only 5 minutes to finish those 2 laps. And talked about his return, top of the board, 99 machine of Ethan Smith, fastest lap at this current moment. And surprisingly, looking at some other drivers, very slow times for those that are hoping for a better fastest lap, but stealing the top of the board goes to Danny Cochran in the 2, fastest driver from practice. He's hoping to carry on with that speed for himself. As take a look at the 3 machine of Anthony Gaudio, hoping to find a little bit of magic here tonight, but gotta say GT Rosari, what a screaming time by the 14, currently 3rd on the board.
Love to see that from him. Same for Ethan Smith. That's 2 times that are amazing. Same with Jared Talmadge in the 4th spot. So really that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th position, great job by those drivers to land themselves there. And I'd see another position that I'm kind of like Samuel Garcia, who just got knocked down from 9th to 11th there, but still some good times coming through as now Thomas Green jumps up the 5th. So the board ever changing here as the times are very close.
The teammates, the GT that of Thomas Green and Jared Talmadge, 4th and 5th, loving those times. And also with a fast lap, he takes the name and was being the sponsor of the race. Cody Reed up to 3rd on the board. I think the surprising driver for the last 3-4 races here this season, Mason Cassidy. 1st lap for the 17's got a minute left in qualifying. But Zach, if we look at drivers that have shined during qualifying, it's been the 17.
That it has. It's been really one of his strong suits, and short tracks kind of, this is a 1.25 mile track, but it's still a short track the way it races. So I think Cassidy is going to be one to watch out for. He was quick in practice. If he can put down what he ran in practice, it's good enough to put him 2nd. We'll see if he finds any pickup there, because it seems like everybody went a little bit slower than their practice time. So Cassidy might not have that pace that he needs to get the 2, but if he can come close, he's got a top 5 position coming his way.
Nighttime is upon us. The lights are out, and Mason Cassidy's open for a pole time. 24th, slowest of anyone that put down a time during qualifying on their 1st lap. But Mason Cassidy on his 2nd, only good enough for 10th. Still a quick time for the 17. He'll like the fact that he's inside the top 10, but a lot of work to be made here tonight. Gateway is our destination for race number 7 here this evening for the Cody super epic and cool Gateway 120. As this race, Cody's been petitioning, you could say, to try to get this race on track for the longest time, and he's happy that it's here. But the drivers just finished up with practice and qualifying. They're now going to enter a 5-minute warm-up period to figure out where drivers' pit boxes are and maybe get a little bit more practice for themselves. And it also gives us time to take a look at a couple of stats and standings coming into tonight. So let's take a look at what the standings are looking for these drivers. 6 races in the books. Officially, we have turned into the second half of the season. And Zach, looking at this field and the way they've been running, biggest mover from our last race, Cedric Hunter up 8 positions, now solidified inside of our top 16 drivers. He's got to be feeling comfortable about that because he did join late into this season.
That was very good for him. Like you said, with the late join, he wants to get up that leaderboard quickly because you don't want to be close to that line once we get closer down to the end of this regular season. But I look at some guys like GT Rosari who qualified good tonight. He's 13th right there behind Cedric. He's going to be looking to have a good night. But some of these others farther back here from 17th on back, they have definitely got to mount some type of charge here starting tonight because quickly this regular season is going to start to run out.
Yeah, and 15th place, very close, 15th to 17th. Those drivers all tied, 3-way tie for 15th position. And then Aaron Kralik just outside at 18th. That's a driver that we know if he can start to hit his rhythm, might be a driver that could sneak into the playoffs. And I'd say probably the last driver that's on this list might be Anthony Gaudio if he can start hitting his marks. But everyone from about 27th to the cutoff line of 16th still have a chance to make the playoffs. But counting tonight, we've only got 4 races left before the season is over. We have tonight at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We have Gateway. Next week, the drivers head to Charlotte, Pocono, Lime Rock, and finishing out the regular season at Las Vegas. It's going to be a fun season to look at as we take a look at the schedule. It's only an 11-race regular season, and we've seen a lot of different winners this season so far. A couple of repeat winners with Nick Crawford and Vincent Sora, but Danny Cochran finally hitting that winners column last 2 weeks ago at our last race, the Milwaukee Mile. But I would say it's still wide open, Zach, on who could get the wins for these last handful of races for the rest of the season.
It really is wide open. We got some guys who don't have wins yet that very well could be looking to get that first win of the season. And also, we could have some guys on the outside looking in of those standings we just looked at that could possibly go out and win one of these races, because some of these races are kind of a wild card. You look at Pocono and Lime Rock; those two back-to-back, in my opinion, could be a very interesting, duo of races.
As for drivers that get a win, if you get a win and you're inside of the top 25 in points, that win will automatically place you into the playoffs. But for the rest of the drivers, we got 2 minutes left in warm-ups, and this is a new segment that we brought in a couple of races ago, but certainly going to be a fun one, and that is our pick'ems. Who do we think is going to be winning tonight's race? And with it being April Fool's Day, we're going to take a different look at who our picks are going to be, starting off with our producer, Robert. Robert usually going with the wild card picks. Tonight, redemption on the mind, as Nick Crawford, who was looking for a 4th place finish here the last time they ran at Gateway, also a 2-time winner this season. I think it's a strong pick, I got to say here, Zach, for Robert to go with Nick Crawford.
That's a very, very strong pick, definitely, Nick. Or to pick Nick. He's one of the favorites out there, won multiple times this season, so let's see if he can help Robert get in that win column. But, the driver, I had a hard, long thought about this, is who was I going to pick? And, this driver, I think, really, again, wanted this racetrack. He really wanted to come here and win. So I'm going to have to go with the 25 of Cody Reed. I think he'll get his first open win here tonight. Actually, April Fool's, I'm going to go with this teammate of John Forbes, actually. I just feel like Forbes is going to break through as the points leader. I think Reed will be close. I do think Reed's going to be there to battle him. But I think Forbes, he had a tough qualifying here, but I think he has the ability to work through the field and get that first win of the season.
That's rude. Cody has had multiple times to win, and then you do that to him in the pick'ems. That is a rude thing to do, Zach. And for me, I'm going to redeem Cody like you would like to. I'm picking Cody Reed. He's my actual pick. I think Cody's got a chance to win this race, but he's going to be going with a different run than most. Cody Reed's going to be part of 4 drivers entering this race with an end-of-the-line penalty to start out here tonight. Joining Cody's going to be Ollie Fonseca, Cedric Hunter, and Justin Campbell. But if anyone could do it, we've seen some luck need to be thrown out with some late cautions. I think if the cautions line up, Cody Reed could find himself into victory lane. But Zach, one thing that our producer is saying in our ear, we all picked Snowy Desert Racing drivers, and I think that's not the worst thing, because they were the drivers that dominated this race 3 seasons ago. Exactly.
I think you're exactly right about that. So I got look to these 3 to be 3 of the favorite, and they'll be looking to take that team down. And I think Tristan Norris is saying, where am I going to get my love at? So we'll see him down the road, I'm sure.
Certainly, it's going to be getting that love at some point. And the only driver, those 3, and then if you add Ethan Smith, those were the top 4 that were running coming to the last restart of the last time they were here at Gateway. So obviously drivers to watch out for, but the fun and jokes are slightly behind us, because it is time for the official race to begin. Drivers are starting to grid up for tonight's ISRC Layer Up Productions Truck Series race of the Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120, and top of the board, gonna be finding with a lot of speed and hoping that it will carry over throughout tonight. You have Danny Cochran in the 2 machine. Making his return after a season and a half, the 99 of Ethan Smith is back on track, and he's right where he was when he left, up front and wanting to go for a victory. Cody Reed, Danny Cochran, they had their bickers. You heard it on the post-race after last week's race. They're going to be lined up with one another, with Cody in 3rd. GT Rosario going to be starting in 4th. 5th, we find Jarrett Talmadge. Thomas Green going to be starting in 6th. Vincent Sora returning after missing last week's race. He's going to be starting all the way back in 7th. Curious on how Vincent's going to work his way through this field. Nick Crawford going to be starting back in 8th place. 9th is going to be Joshua Kanata, and Mason Cassidy all the way down in 10th position.
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the 38 truck of Christopher Norris. Alongside him, the 7 of Cedric Hunter, who's going to be going to the rear of the field with a penalty. 13th is going to go to the 3 of Anthony Gaudio, with 14th going to the 98 of Malik Kuntz. 15th is going to be the 50 of Samuel Garcia, with John Forbes coming here in 16th. 17th is going to go to Ali Fonseca, with 18th position in qualifying going to Aaron Kralik. 19th is going to Matthew Greathouse, and rounding out our top 20 is Tyler Dingler.
21st, going to be 5 machine to Dakota Moniz. 22nd, behind the 6th to Justin Smith. Martin Morales Jr. going to be starting back in 23rd place. Jesse Thornton back in 24th for the 20 machine. Justin Campbell was starting in 25th and finishing out our 26 drivers. It's the 39 of Joshua Freed. Again, we have 4 drivers that will be starting at the end of the line with penalties. Now, those drivers that got the EOL penalties were able to qualify if they deemed that they wanted to. Those 4 drivers, Ollie Fonseca, after an ARCA break, and as well as a restart violation, going to be starting with an L1 going to the end of the line, and will also be on a 3-race probation period for Ollie Fonseca. Cedric Hunter, a restart violation, will send the 7 to the end of the line. Cody Reed, post-race incident between himself and Justin Campbell, will be sending the 25 to the end of the line, and with retaliation from Justin Campbell after our last race as well, will be going to the end of the line. The penalty. 4 drivers going to the back. They're going to be very fast drivers, but Zach up front. I mean, we talked about how this season's been kind of a showing, a parody of season 1. It almost goes full circle now with seeing Ethan Smith out there on track.
It really does. Round of applause for him, man. That is amazing to see him qualify second on his return back. That's big things there, folks. And sometimes you need a break. I don't know. I haven't talked to Ethan. I don't know how much racing he's been doing, but sometimes that breakaway can be exactly what you need. And hey, look at him, second in qualifying, Sam. He might have a good shot here tonight for sure.
Look at the history books. Ethan is tied with the 5th of all-time wins in this series, and he's hoping to be solidified in that position, being get another win here at Gateway. But pace cars into pit row. The field is stacked 2 by 2 all the way through, and the Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120 is underway for race number 7. It's going to be side by side for the lead. Danny Cochran and Ethan Smith down into turn number 1. Cochran takes the lead position, but behind them, it's going to be the 10 machine of Talmadge with a great launch side by side with GT Rosari.
Great start to this race for Talmadge. He needs this, Sam. This is huge for that 10 machine. He's had a pinball of the season here, just really getting caught up in a lot of people's incidents. Right now, he's going to try to clear for that 3rd position and just try to get hold of that track position, because it's so valuable here at Gateway as they come off of 4.
And was hearing some of the drivers talking about it in Discord throughout the week, and Talmadge was one of those drivers that said he didn't really put a lot of practice time into this race, so could be in a spot for the 10 machine later on in this race, see what the wear and tear is going to look like for his tires. But lap 1, give it to the 2 machine of Danny Cochran leading for himself, but GT Rosari trapped on the outside lane, starting to fall backwards now to the clutches of Thomas Green.
Little door touch there into the entry between the 00 and that 14, and yeah, the 14 losing early track position here. Now he's going to jump to that bottom lane and try to hold on to that spot. But it's Nick Crawford and Mason Cassidy side by side down the front straightaway here, as they're going to try to figure out some way to attack that 14. But first, they got to figure out their situation. This is the grouping of a bunch of trucks right here in this group.
And as well, getting to see that grouping for a quick second, but popping up on your top right was the purple marker, Vincent Sora, in the move up to 3rd place. Fastest driver on track is the 15. But is it willing to burn off the tires this early on? Also, tonight's race going to be a 40-lap first stage. Top 10 drivers get bonus points for themselves. No fast repair, only 4 sets of tires in pit road. Couple of shuffling of drivers further on back, and almost a shot of 3 wide for a quick moment in the middle of the field. But starting to see a lot more single file racing, as seeing the 50 machine of Samuel Garcia, as well as Anthony Gaudio, and John Forbes, shockingly in the middle of this field, the 11, trying to make his march forward.
He is quickly doing it too. This is my pick for the night. Didn't expect the 16th position in qualifying. That kind of concerned me a little bit there. But it was quick in practice. We've seen Forbes start in the back before. I mean, look at last week. He had to work his way through the field. He did it very, very well. And I would expect him to be right in that boat once again, already up to 12th and making up 4 spots. And he'll be looking to get these positions here early in this first 40 laps here, but he's also going to be conserving those tires. So it's always impressive to see those drivers who've got to make up that time, but are also able to manage the tires as well as do that.
Major concern coming into this race by the drivers was how many cautions was this field going to be bringing out. Last time they ran at this racetrack, they had 13 cautions come up, and it felt like we never got a sense of a true long run back in season 3. Here tonight, though, going to be getting a good 5 laps in the books, starting lap 6, and it's still Danny Cochran leading the way, but in the middle of the field, starting to see drivers slowly making their way forward, but I gotta say, they're probably very happy on the fact that we've been able to stay clean and green as long as we have. And starting to see Justin Smith, Cody Reed. Let's try 3 wide down into turn number 3 as the 6 of Smith backs out and lets Fonseca also shoot on through on the outside.
Wow, that was a big move from the 25 there. And Reed definitely showing his prowess here at the Gateway racetrack as he's able to make that move look very easy. Now it's like you said, to the inside of Fonseca, you'll have Morales right ahead, along with Dees, Dingler, all these drivers stacked up here around that top 20 positions. But it's tough to make passes when you got these good trucks in this back positions.
Again, 4 drivers have started at the end of the line after different penalties that were given out after last week's running of the Milwaukee Mile. Ollie Fonseca got to go to the end of the line, same with Cody Reed, Cedric Hunter, and Justin Campbell. Campbell decided not to even qualify, so his pit stall is going to be one of the first ones that these drivers have to enter towards. We'll see how that's going to influence the 9 later on as Tyler Dangler trying to make his way forward as the battle just outside the top 15. With Kralik, Dangler, and others as a little slip up from the 38 of Christopher Norris, I believe that was. His drivers are getting a little bit more sketchy. Actually, that was Dakota Moniz that was seen getting out of shape for a quick moment, and Cody Reed just muscling his way forward. And Zach, Cody sponsored this racetrack. He's been trying to get this racetrack on the schedule for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Finally gets it on the schedule, and having a penalty start out, this is not the way the 25 wanted this race to start, but he is quickly and efficiently making his way forward.
He really is. He's doing an excellent job right now working his way forward, and shows why he wants this track on the schedule. You know, you fight for a track so much to get on the schedule. There's a reason behind that. It's because he, first off, enjoys it, but he's also very, very good here. So would expect him to see him continue his march forward. There's a big run off of 4 air to the inside of Dingler as we're watching Hunter trying to make the passes. Now even Kralik up here trying to make the pass. It looks like the 98 of Malik Coates.
Malik Coates trying to stable out in that black and purple 98 machine on the outside and trying to stay off the outside wall. And a factor of this track we haven't really touched on, you can see it there, a huge gap on the backstretch, an influence to that first race that they had back in season 3 between Cody Reed and Nick Crawford on the final lap. I mean, Zach, on this restart, when we get closer to, if we get yellow or we get close to that stage break, that backstretch is always a concern when you have drivers stacked on top of one another.
It really is. I mean, like you said, it brought a lot of the drama that we saw in that first race ever here at Gateway just that, you know, a little while ago. And you know, it was the likes of Reed and Nick Crawford getting into it. Now the likes of their teammates. So it shows you how things change for the racing. I'm sure they've had a good laugh about that. But this 25 still fighting strong, but this 98 not making it very easy right now. That just shows you, again, the farther they get in this field, you know, for Reed, the likes of Cedric Hunter, the tougher it's going to get for each one of these passes.
Each pass is going to be harder and harder to make. This is currently, happily you see on screen, for 16th position is Cody Reed versus Malik Kuntz as 25. Also seen a little bit of a shimmy from Mark Morales behind. We'll be falling behind Ollie Fonseca, but each position mattering so much. As you see now, the three pink machines slot out where they want to be off the exit of turn 4, and in line is where they will slot. And finally, you could say everyone on track in a single file formation for themselves. And the battling up front starting to get a little bit more heated as take a look at the battle for 9th place. Joshua Kanata in the 16 and the 7 of Mason Cassidy around one another currently as they're trying to set up to get by the 74 Nick Crawford.
It's a little stack up in this group. Yeah, and Crawford here running a little bit of a different line behind his team, and Christopher Norris is going to cut down on the late exit here to try to get a good run. Doesn't get the run I think he's wanted. So just probably trying things here early, trying to get out of that dirty air, so to say. But this is what I've been really keeping my eye on is this 15. I mean, it really a driver always to watch out for when it comes to lap times, and he's been putting some quick ones up, just been a little bit quicker than Cochran these last few laps, and we'll see if he can get around his teammate. But again, this is going to be a tough pass. It's so hard at this track to get some type of a run on the driver ahead with that dirty air when you follow him.
Danny Cochran, of course, might not be running faster than Vincent Sora, but the ultimate goal is put your back bumper where the other driver's front bumper is. Utilize, like I said, the dirty air, Zach, on the drivers around you. With these trucks and where the way that aerodynamics works is certainly a big factor you're looking for, as Danny Cochran running a special scheme here tonight. Larry Art Productions, a major sponsor for Danny Cochran, bringing out his Larry for President scheme this evening. And Danny having some fun with April Fool's jokes here tonight, as Vincent Sora, we ran on the front bumper, trying to close in on the gap. With lap 15 in the books, these drivers are inching closer and closer to the halfway of this stage against stage 1 at the end of lap 40. And Zach, I know you did a little bit of practice trying to get our fuel numbers for tonight's race, but tire wear and the way this track runs, I'm going to be curious on how these drivers ebb and flow with the tire wear and how you want to deal with these trucks as the run progresses.
It will be interesting, especially with the shifting that you'll see. And you can see the weather that we got on the screen on our graphic. And I mean, right now, it's pretty consistent with the weather, you know, with it being 11 o'clock at night here, clear, 69 degrees with a 74-degree track temp. So the track's pretty grippy here. As you see the paddle still going on with Cody to the inside of Crawford. But the tires, as they wear with the shifting, I think will be interesting. I think getting to lap 40 going to be no problem for these guys. It's just going to be who can manage it the best.
Slight scrape to the outside wall as Crawford trying to bait decent gas as he close to that open slot on the back stretches. They continue to be in the line. But that weather, again, going to be a factor to continue to look on as these drivers running in the night. So not expecting the ambient air temperature to change much. The track temp could with all these drivers out on course. You are currently watching the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series as they run here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway, just outside of St. Louis. As the field, seeing these different groups and pods, front two completely gapped out from our second pack. This is technically the back end of our second pack, but then the third group being led by Cody Reed. You see some great shots of Anthony Gaudio, Great House side by side, and the 7 of Cedric Hunter boxed in on the outside lane.
Very much boxed in right here. If you're Cedric Hunter, you just got to be patient. You're trying to get to the outside of that 3 of Gaudio and make the easy pass. If you get too overworked up, there's the 51 and the 3 both wobble coming off with turn 2 there with the light and the rears up with traction. Now Cedric Hunter going to use this to his advantage to get to the inside here down in the 3. But can he make this work? The thing lucky for him, Gaudio's up the racetrack. This is going to give him some clean air on the bottom.
And a little bit of clean air to work with. You noted on the shifting aspect. That's something these drivers were curious about how it was going to influence, but not bump drafting. That was not something in my bingo card to look out for, as the 51 of Great House giving a huge shove to the 7 machine down into turn number 1. And we'll see if Matthew Greathouse wants to give another shove to Cedric Hunter to close in the gap to the 3 machine.
Well, to see if he can get that close this time, but yeah, definitely give him a little shove to the 7 down the front straightaway and electing just to stay in line there. So keeping up with those front 2 ahead of him, but we'll see now that Reed, Cedric Hunter, along with Gaudio, some clear track for these guys. What kind of lap times will they be able to produce to our top times up front of Danny Cochran, who's still running about a 34 flat, the fastest score on the racetrack that last time by.
Now, it's hard to get the exact numbers on some of these drivers on the passes that they've made so far for the likes of Cedric Hunter, Cody Reed, and Ollie Fonseca, as well as the 9 machine of Justin Cable, because they had to start the end of the line with the EOL penalty. But Christopher Norris, he stopped where they qualified. 38, one of the bigger movers up for just 4 positions. Not a lot of movement for the 38. Kind of being patient, and this is not the worst place to be if you're Norris, as you see in front of you. GT Azari, Ethan Smith, slowly catching up as the 38 up to this group.
But he is starting to get a little bit of pace compared to these front 2, and we'll see once we get farther in the run, you know, the likes of someone like Ethan Smith here, we're looking at what is his lap times going to be like. Will he be prepared for this longer run? And, you know, if I remember correctly, it always seemed like the longer runs were sometimes his better strength at these style tracks. So I'll be very thoroughly interested to see how he is able to do here later in the run, as we've gotten now past the halfway point on this stage. But it's going to be a tricky situation. He's definitely learning a lot, I think, right now.
Again, our stage break will be at the end of lap 40 if we continue to stay green currently. Ethan Smith on his grand return. Other drivers that have had grand returns. These 2 drivers right in front of the 99. Jared Talmadge, Ethan, also going to be Thomas Green right in front of Ethan Smith. And seeing the returning drivers this season has been such nostalgia for us just to get a sense of what it was like here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We've been following these drivers since their first season, and it's been a pleasure to see drivers, come and go, but seeing the drivers come back has probably been the most fun as the teammates can go side by side. Green to Talmadge down into turn number 3. The 0-0 no longer wants to wait in the wings, wants to try to attack and go after our top 2 of Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora that are just about a little bit less than a second and a half ahead of these 2 drivers.
See how hard these 2 race here each other is. Talmadge was able to clear back by him, but it's going to be an interesting situation as these 2 up here have been kind of similar pace. Vincent Sora might be a little bit quicker behind, but he got close to Cochran, made a huge mistake coming off the 2, lost a lot of time. He's trying to reel back in that time he lost, but these 2 very consistent up front, still gapping the rest of the field.
Zach, I'm curious about your thoughts on it, because you've ran with a lot of really dominant teams in the leagues that you've ran in, and curious when you have teammates as John Forbes and also Joshua Kanata, former Alliance drivers, having a slight touch off the exit of 4. But I'm curious of when you have this dominant of a lead, how do you want to play with this? Do you want to just continue to stay in line? Do you let the faster driver drive on by? I mean, I was curious on how teammates want to work out their placements when, as a group and a collective, they are pulled away from the rest of the field.
These are awkward moments, I'll say that much. These are times where you would think you would have more communication with the driver that you're racing with your teammates, such for the lead, because you're opening up a gap to the people. You're not really losing time. So there really probably isn't a lot of talking going on. I imagine it's very, very quiet for those 2 probably, and just trying to focus to be better than each other. But as long as, in my opinion, as long as you're Vincent Sawyer here and you're not getting held up by the 2 and you are pulling technically away from the people behind you, you're not going to be too vocal yet on, hey man, I want to get around you. So it's always an interesting dynamic, in my opinion, just with the teammate game of, it's a lot of times managing egos, so to say. And sometimes you got to take one for the team, but also you got to remember you're racing for yourself also.
Seen a little bit of battles for magic fields for last place between Jesse Thornock, Joshua Freed, and Mark Morales Jr. Morales Jr. has really been struggling in the last 8 laps to 10 laps so far here tonight. Jesse Thornock got a lot of practice for the 20. That's his traditional MO for joining these races, but you can see the Morecast 91 machine continues to try to just stay out on track. Really cannot wait for the stage break to come out. Give a chance to reset, figure out where your tire wear's at and where you're going to be trying to push forward. Tyler Dangler in the 19 runs in 21st position, and I see in the chat a couple of drivers rooting for the drivers. Also see Lenny Reed, hoping to see Cody Reed get out there up front, and Lenny was one of the drivers, a part of the Better Half Dash last week, and hoping to see some of the drivers that had their EOLs moving forward. Ollie Fonseca, big Lenny fan in the chat last week. Right now, the 24 battling with Malik Kuntz for 18th place, and Ollie, I think, curiously, has not been able to stick with Cedric Hunter and Cody Reed that are just outside the top 10. Ollie is just inside the top 20 and struggling to make these passes as the 24.
Hey, it looked like Ollie kind of struggled even in qualifying and practice. Didn't find the pace, and that's not normal for this 24. I feel like that's the one thing that he normally always has, at least, is some type of pace, and he's in the outside wall there. As you see, those 2 got close in the middle of the corner. The 24 goes up the racetrack into the wall. Now the 98 back to the inside, but definitely, if you don't have the speed already, you're not looking to get the wall like that. Luckily for the 24's case there, Sam, just looking at it myself, it really didn't do much damage from that big of a hit.
Yeah, shockingly with how massive it looked. Now that the angle was on contact, thought there'd be a lot more damage, but visually it doesn't look like it's too bad as they continue to fight back and forth between Malik Kuntz and Ollie Fonseca as they squeeze up again through the center of the corner. 24 is a lot higher than he was before, but able to keep his foot in the throttle. But Malik Kuntz keeps the pressure, and this is just going to be hurting the 24 the longer this run continues. And now Ollie's got to be thinking, do I give a bumper? Do I just stay in place? Questions to be thrown, but we are less than 10 laps to go before our stage caution will come out. Top 10 drivers going to get bonus points. If you win, you get 10 bonus points. Second gets 9. Third gets 8. Continues to drop down until we get to 10th place, where you only get 1 bonus point. Outside the top 10, no stage bonus points for yourself. And it's going to be very important, especially with coming into tonight. three-way tie for 15th in points. One of those drivers wouldn't be making it into the playoffs if we ended the regular season before we start tonight's race.
And we've seen tiebreakers before in ISRC history. It has come down to that close before, so you got to get every point available to you, and that's why these stage breaks are so important for everybody. So gotta make sure when we're getting within 7 laps here that you're within distance of that top 10, and it's definitely still somewhat of a battle there with Kanata and Reed, actually, who's caught up right to the back of this pack. Reed, looking at lap time wise, he is flying on the long run.
Cody Reed is the fastest driver on track, and what's shocking is that he's passed the most drivers since the start of the green. The exact number, I believe he started all the way back in 25th position, now up to 12th. I mean, that is 13 places. We look at other drivers on where they qualify. The next closest will be Cedric Hunter, who tried to tag along with the 25, but this has been the Cody Reed show so far this run of closing in on this gap, and I'm curious if you are Cody Reed, if you prefer having this stage caution that's about to be coming out, or if you would want this race to continue to stay clean and green, because he's knocking down and taking every position possible.
I think he was listening to the pre-race. I might have fired this driver up trying to go out here and prove my April Fool's a little bit too wrong. He's showing a lot of speed. I'm not surprised, but again, this is not something that's too surprising. This just seems like, again, right up his alley of what a track would be good for Reed. And he's colors up to these guys, but now this is where it gets real tough. That dirty on the nose is going to make everything that much harder. Can he get the stage points, though, with his teammate lurking right ahead of him with Kanata right in front of the nose?
Former Alliance drivers last season of Cody Reed, Joshua Kanata, as Kanata moved on to move with Team Watson this season. Cody Reed trying to figure out how to get by Joshua Kanata. These drivers are friends. They talk to one another before and during races in different leagues, and also talk to one another throughout the week, trying to get strategies, pointers on how to deal with these tracks. But I don't think this week or last week Cody talked to anybody. He was focusing up on how to move forward with the knowledge that he had the start at the end of the line penalty coming into this race. He knew he had practice and prefer on how to deal with these passes, especially on these late runs. As Cody Reed, Kanata swapping places down into turn number 1. Battle for the lead is starting to grow. Danny Cochran is pulling away from Vincent Sora. Everyone else in a similar spot, but right in front of these drivers' issues, though, it's going to be Mason Cassidy, Christopher Norris, contact right in front of them. Nick Crawford gets collected, and Reed sneaks on by.
Oh, no. Looks like that was contact between the 17 and the 38 there. That was a very, very unfortunate ending to that stage.
And the drivers are not going to be happy about this one. Big thing to watch out for is going to be 17 machine of Mason Cassidy, and he driving it in aggressively into the center of the corner and tries to go with a diamond aspect and then just hooks the 38 right in front of the field. John Ford's nowhere to go. Hufford was trying to avoid. The 17, when he comes sliding back down, just collects Nick Crawford slightly. And at that time of the incident, that will count as our stage break, as our top 10 drivers where they run. It'll be Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, Talmadge, Green, Ethan Smith, GT Rosari, John Forbes, Cody Reed, Josh Kanata, and Cedric Hunter, your top 10. But Cody Reed certainly got a great picture of watching all of his teammates get wiped out in this one incident.
Wow, that was, yeah, that was a snowy desert cleanup there. As, I thought at first maybe Cassidy just misjudged, the distance between him and Christopher Norris there, cutting down, getting into that right rear, so to say. But I think actually the 17 might have even got a little bit free and a little bit loose on the application of the throttle. I mean, these guys are shifting down to third. I'm sure that the rear tires have took a brunt of the load here on this run. And I think right there, it just caught him off guard, turned the race car just a little bit down the track, and it tracked him into that 38, which in turn spun him off the nose and caused that melee there. As pit road looks like a melee. There's the race off pit road between Green and Talmadge.
All the drivers exiting pit road, and it's going to be Danny Cochran, Vincent Sawyer, two that will win the race off of pit road. Thomas Green able to get a great launch for himself and actually move up to third, getting by the teammates of Talmadge. That's going to be Thomas Green and Talmadge in front of Ethan Smith and Cody Reed. He'll take those positions he was gifted, but Obviously, frustration's got to be mounting for Christopher Norris, the only driver with required damage after that wreck. He'll be in pit road for quite a while. Well, our stage winner, our Morecast stage winner, going to be Danny Cochran with the timing of that yellow flag, because it was within the 35 lap to 40 marker. That will count as our stage with the timing of this yellow. So these drivers now, from this point on, will be racing to see who's going to be getting into victory lane. But curious on the thoughts on our stage winner, because Danny Cochran dominated up front. We're going to try to have a quick talk with Danny here. We'll see if we can pull up the two machine. Danny, it's Sam up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Stage winner here at Gateway. How are you feeling? How's that truck feeling as we're getting ready for this restart?
Yeah, I kept a really good balance on my tires for the entire run. I'm really happy with where the balance is, but I mean, it's easy to say when you've had clean air the whole time. I know some, like Vincent, he's had to work his way through traffic, so he's burned his more than I have, of course, but he was still able to hang with me. Yeah, man, we're just gonna try and go here and maintain that clean air that I gripe about usually every week. If we can hold on to it and manage our gap, I think we got a good shot to win this thing.
Well, Danny, we're going to hope for the best. We'll send you back to your team. Congratulations on the stage win, and good luck for the rest of this race.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the show.
As that's going to be your Cochran Sora Racing driver of Danny Cochran, stage winner of your Morecast stage win. As the drivers quickly stack up 2 by 2. Cochran, Sora, Green, Talmadge, Smith, and Reed going to be your top 6 as we're back to green flag action. And Danny Cochran, great launch for himself. Rest of the field, they try to set up down into turn number 1.
Big start there for Danny Cochran, able to hold on to that lead, and it was huge for Vincent Sora not to allow Thomas Green to get to his inside. And oh no, there goes the 10 around.
It's going to be Talmadge sent down into the grass, and cautions breeding cautions. Jared Talmadge, Cody Reed close to one another. But it's the 10s. Bad luck continues once again, Zach, and it was looking promising this go around.
Yeah, this is going to be bad luck, Sam, because I think this is a little case of net code. I think possibly. I'm not going to fully blame it on that, but definitely some close racing. Reed here going to dive to the inside. Thomas going to put it right on the door, but you're going to see right here all of a sudden, boop, the truck just goes around, and no real touch from them. So it was either he just spun it from, lighting up the tires himself, or that was a net code hit there. And if it was, that's so unfortunate for Talmadge, who this, season, again, I feel like it's just been a pinball sim. He's been involved in so many incidents that he has never caused.
Yeah, I'm looking from different views. Might be a chopper cam or a blimp view that might give us a better sight of this. But these drivers were very close to one another. Cody Reed's great launch, and then down into turn number 1, side by side. There's about a foot between them. And off the exit, just an invisible bubble just knocks the 10 around. There was no physical contact, but with us racing over the internet, sometimes internet connections can be slightly different for each person, and some drivers, you could say their invisible truck hitbox kind of shifts on its own, and that's what we see there. That's what we call net code. Look at the invisible hitbox moved up, hit Jared Talmadge, and the bad luck continues for the 10 as he'll have to go all the way back to 24th position, try to make the march forward as the field gonna get ready for this restart. Zach, I mean, net code, always a factor these drivers know is at any track, but I think Gateway is probably gonna be the one that we're most concerned about because we've already seen drivers make contact, and then there's our first sign of net code just 40 laps into this race.
Tough break. Tough break. When that happens, yeah, it's just online racing is part of it. It's going to happen, and it's the kind of the risk you got away with the hard racing that you have sometimes in iRacing. So tough to see there for the likes of the 10 of Jared Talmadge. Luckily, no one else really got any type of piece of that. It was a really good save from Reed there for him not to get any more involved in it. But with how this has shook things up, Reed gains a ton out of this. I mean, look at him. He's up to 4th now, Sam. If you told him that after 43 laps, I think he'd have a pretty big smile on his face for the last part of this race.
Absolutely. And other drivers that are going to be happy, Cedric Hunter, Justin Campbell, they're both also up instead of the top 10. They also started with the EOL penalty coming into tonight's race. As we're getting ourselves prepared for this restart, do want to say thank you to the amazing sponsors that helped out here at the ISRC Truck Series. Start things off with the title sponsor of Larry Art Productions. Larry Art Productions is your comedy variety YouTube channel, as well as on Instagram. If you're looking for some great laughs, as well as some reviews and openings and just his other thoughts on humor, go check out Larry Art Productions today on YouTube and on Instagram. Also, want to give a huge shout out to Hot Lap Threads. Hot Lap Threads, your qualifying grid sponsor. Go check out Hot Lap Threads' Retro Racer collection and plenty of other great racing apparel at hotlapthreads.com. Also, if you're looking for any apparel that will help out the drivers that are out on track for the ISRC, I know a couple of drivers partnered up with Hot Lap Threads and get your own merchandise for some of those drivers out on course. And our last sponsor, who we talked about during our stage break, going to be Morecast. Morecast is, go on head over to @Morecast on Instagram for a variety of NASCAR content, including diecast, memes, and iRacing. Also check out Morecast on YouTube for diecast reviews, NASCAR discussions, and more. Thank you for Morecast for being your stage winning sponsor here tonight. Again, your stage winner goes to Danny Cochran, but we just had a caution, Breed had another caution, and Zach, this is kind of the fear that most of the field was worried about of being stacked up again after the great long run we had before our first caution of the day.
Such a true saying when they say cautions breed cautions. It is never, people, it's a saying, but that is a fact in my book, because when you just restack them, everything has a higher risk. Every start and restart you have is just the highest risk moment of any time during a run. The more laps you put in between, the better chance you have to go in green. So we'll see how they can shake up here after that quick yellow, but we'll see if they can calm down, maybe get it together, and not have that saying come true.
I know we talked about seeing Lenny read out in the chat. Also want to say thank you to April Lee for joining us. It's been a while seeing April, a big fan. Hoping to see Ethan Smith the great run here tonight. We're back to green flag racing for the Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120. Danny Cochran, a massive launch for himself down into turn number 1. It's going to be the teammates of Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora in line as Cody Reed tries to work the top to take third position.
Can Cody Reed get this track position early? This is going to be huge for him, but also Vincent Sora, the side draft down the back straightaway, is able to pull even here heading into 3 and 4. If he can get the pass done, this will be a scary sight to see for people if he gets clean air and he works his way past the 2. What a power move from the 15, but will the 2 throw it back down the inside here and down the 1? But it looks like he's just going to hold on and wait.
Holds on and wait, but makes the late dashing move to the inside as Danny Cochran trying to put the pressure on Vincent Sora, gassing it up. Almost contact on the center of the corner, but Sora pulls away the 2, threw everything out, and speaking of throwing it away, middle of the field, drivers getting into the outside wall. They scatter for now as they continue to move forward. It looks to be Joshua Freed and Matthew Greathouse that have the issues with the outside wall off of 2, but the drivers still in the middle of the pack, getting slotted around. It's going to be Garcia, Malik Coates, and others trying to hold steady from 13th on back.
Here they go, Sam. This is getting aggressive. Here's Forbes trying to come back from that damage repair, diving all around the racetrack, but nowhere to go now with that 50 right in front of him. This is go time for these drivers. They know they learned what they learned from that first stage, and they got to put it to use now and try to go through this field. This is a big move from farther back there from Lieutenant Talmadge.
Talmadge trying to make his move forward. John Forbes, I think he's probably utterly shocked on the block that Greathouse put on, Garcia put on the 11 machine. And Jared Talmadge, he takes those positions with the wide sweeping three wide entry. And also drivers up ahead having some great racing actions for second place. Danny Cochran's under pressure, but in front, it's Malik Coates, hard contact. Cody Reed gets spun off a 2. 2 separate incidents, and our yellow is out for the 3rd time here tonight.
Oh man, 2 separate incidents, like you said, and I'll be interested to see can Reed get his positioning back, because this was actually not even what I think brought the yellow out, because I think it looks like you said went around in 1 and 2, but this is what we're going to see comes off a turn 2, and this is just some hard racing between these two. And I was questioning, would we see anything between these two? Would we see contact? And we know the 25 felt slided by this 2. And right here, these 2 racing hard for position. Coming off the exit 2, going to touch doors. And it's going to send the 25 down, spinning off the racetrack. And not sure if he got that track position back or not, Sam, because it looks like he didn't.
It doesn't look like he didn't, but the initial wreck, Malik Kuntz was the driver involved with that one after contact between the 98 and the 11. So we'll see if we're going to get the replay of that incident, but Malik Kuntz was really being pressured by the 11 of John Forbes and shipped it down and hoped to have a good shot for the pass, but we're going to see if it's the next lap that gives us a shot here. But I got to say, though, Zach, what a move by Cody Reed to get his way forward. But the disappointment now, he's got to make all that work once again going forward.
Yeah, he does. And, I went back and looked at it. It looked like there was contact from the 11 of John Forbes into the 98 of and if I remember correctly, those two have had a pretty interesting past also. So just shows you, again, at these short track style tracks, any little thing can bleed over. And I think here with our replay, we're trying to get just a little too far back with it. So, but definitely a tough break for the guys that all happened to, and huge loss of position for Cody Reed also with that caution.
Yeah, it's going to be another 2 or 3 more laps, I think, before the initial incident happens between those two. But in chat, Judy saying, happy to see Ethan back on track. And we agree, Judy. It's exciting to see the 99 back on track. Switching up the number as Ethan's traditional 00 was grabbed by Thomas Green. And I think that's the one thing that's going to trip me up is we saw Ethan in the 00 for 4 seasons. It was his MO scheme number, and now seeing him in 99, it kind of throws me off every once in a while seeing those numbers with collected to the driver's name.
It really does. You make those connections, Sam, especially with certain leagues, and when you see the 99, you think of a certain different person, and now we're going to associate Ethan with that. And so it takes some time, but again, glad to have Ethan back, and he's having one heck of a race, man, in the top 5 for the whole majority of these first 52 laps. I don't think he could ask for a much better debut. I mean, if he keeps this up, we'll probably be talking to him by the end of the night.
I certainly could be a driver to watch out for. Also interesting under this caution, drivers got a few laps of green flag racing, and surprisingly, a couple of drivers decided to go with the gutsy call of coming into pit road and taking tires. Those drivers that we're going to be watching out for, Nick Crawford, was in pit road with a 9-second time in pit road. Gonna have to confirm if he did take tires or not, but some drivers that we do know took tires. Aaron Kralik in 16th, 17th is Tyler Dangler. Matthew Greathouse back in 18th took tires. We'll see how having a 6 to 7 lap difference of tires is going to influence these drivers that grab any more extra positions.
It very well could. I think the tires have a huge effect at this track, in my opinion, just because of that little bit of shifting that goes on. I think that heats up the tires constantly, and if you can have any low advantage, maybe you'll try to go grab that here with that quick yellow. But we'll see how the group who stayed out is able to hold on. I think the thing that wins out at the end of the day is track position. But if your likes of someone like a Cody Reed back there in the 25, he'll take advantage of this opportunity, and I think that's what he did.
And can confirm Nick Crawford taking 2 tires. That's an early take, but you're willing to take those options. These drivers here tonight had 4 sets of tires to work with here this evening. Majority of the field's already used their first of 4 sets that they had in pit road. Crawford will use his second. He's got 2 for the rest of the race, and why not, test out a 2-tire run here. He's going to be deeper in the field, so a lot of work needs to be done for the 74 or season 4 champion, but up front, all eyes on the teammates of Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora. They are the odds-on favorite. We also have someone that was cheering for the 16 of Joshua Kanata. Nick, I think you might be right. Kanata's someone who's surprisingly having a good run up to 4th place on the outside of the 2nd row. We'll see if the 16 can stay up there. Also, Cedric Hunter now going to be in the mix for the 7 machine. Going to be the 3rd driver on the outside. Hello Kitty. Maybe wants to have another stealing of the show here at Gateway. The field is ready. They're stacked. Pace car makes the hard left-hander to pit road. And the Cody super epic and cool Gateway 120 is back underway into the restart zone. Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran. It's now going to be Sora with the restart advantage as he is already gone. And it's going to be Green already to the quarter panel of Danny Cochran.
Great start from Vincent Sora. Able to open up the gap. Can he get the run off of 2 wheels? The key. That's where he got the inside of Danny Cochran was able to take advantage, but this time he's able to hold on. But this farther back group is where everything's side by side. This is where we could see a little bit of that mess going on as Reed trying to make the return back to the 25.
Make the return, and Cody Reed's got a lot of work if he wants to get back inside the top 10. Right now, the field's still going to be stacked 2 by 2, and the initial driver is going to be Ethan Smith in 8th place as he's dealing with the side-by-side action between himself and Anthony Gaudio. These two have had history, the battle for 8th place. They back to season 2 at Homestead. This is probably the best battle they ever had was during that race, and now bringing back some vintage spirit between the 3 and the 99.
You throw that Hello Kitty machine a little bit farther back, it would definitely be vintage Homestead there for us for a moment. But right now, Smith on the defense, I mean, not having the greatest restart. Restarted 5th, now going to fall into the clutches of 9th, and we'll see if Smith can just hold on. And that might be where he's a little bit rusty, if anything, Sam. It's going to be on these restarts, the timings there, and just how to defend overall here in iRacing. Now he's going to get a touch from the 10 of
Talmadge into Smith, spinning in front of the field, and you got to give kudos to the field. They're 3, almost 4 wide, and still keeping it straight. Smith falls all the way back to the tail end of the pack. They're going to be still 3 wide, 4 wide. Smith into the wall, though. Oh, it goes all awry in the middle of the backstretch.
And he finds the opening, and I think the 9 of Campbell, I don't know what exactly happened to him, but he shot across the screen, and I think he might have just thought he was clear and cleared himself, and it kind of ended up wrecking everybody right there.
I mean, he was trying to break in front of Mason Cassidy, it looked like, clipped off of Cassidy's front bumper, and that's where it all went wrong. As we get to see the whole entire situation, Zach, I mean, just one blink of an eye, and it goes wrong for the 99 machine.
Very much went wrong for the 99, who just got caught up in the wrong place, the wrong time here. As you'll see, he's going to get hit from the 10. This is where he goes sliding through too. What a save. What a job by everybody here. Look at Ali Fonseca squeezing by. Justin Smith also in the 6, doing a great job of getting through there. But you're going to see here as they go farther down the back straightaway, we jumped the head right there. But the 9 just completely cuts across there. And, I see the gap he's going for when we go back and get a closer view of that, but it's just not clear, and personally a little bit too aggressive of a move there.
Yeah, and he's going to be the big thing. As you can see the scattering in front, drivers going everywhere to avoid Smith. Sees the 19, maybe gets a little bit too zoned in and focused on where Tyler Dengler was, and then thought he was clear, wasn't, off the nose of the 17, and bang, bang moves. And just like that, Justin Campbell, who had a spectacular start to the season, just is having a meltdown here tonight, was not able to really move through the field as efficiently as he was hoping, and now going to have to deal with some major damage, and other drivers also dealing with some major damage. Sent into pit roads, Ethan Smith required damage for the 99, who's going to be joining Christopher Norris, who's still sitting in pit road. And I mean, for those two to be the ones that are dealing with required damage, kind of funny and ironic, because they were the two that had the most beef before Ethan Smith was booted out of the ISRC at the beginning of season 4.
That it was definitely a lot of beef there. And one thing I'm seeing interesting is Danny Cochran sitting in pit road right now still. So the 2 is just sitting there. I don't know if he's in the truck or not, but we'll see if he gets back going. It does look like he's getting to go now. And so right here with lap 58, I'm going to have to do some quick math, Sam, but I'm interested to see why he would have been in there.
I mean, it's going to be still around 60 laps to go before this race is over. I'm not saying that he was, but I know I've heard stories. Tyler Dengler's probably the most famous one I can think of. Drivers that are, have to make an emergency pit stop for themselves. Maybe that was the reason. Maybe there was something mechanical that needed to get fixed. I know there was some slight contact between the 2 and the 25 as they were battling with one another. I'm curious if maybe there was some slight damage that just the vehicle didn't feel smooth as Danny wanted, and he'll decide to go to the end of the line now and gonna have to work with the damage or work with whatever he fixed, and now got to work his way through the field.
That is interesting moments, to say the least. Sometimes the bathroom break definitely has to come up, so to say, to take you away, and had that one happen myself before. But with it being 62 here to go, we got a few more caution laps. It puts it in the realm of being able to make this on one stop right here because, again, numbers I looked at were around 56, almost 57, right at the edge of 57 laps. Um, you know, we go back green here, it's going to be, 60 to go. I don't put it out of the realm of someone being able to save 3 laps of fuel, especially a track like this where if you don't shift, you probably save a ton of fuel. So we very well could see someone try to, like Danny Cochran, stretch it out. And if we were to go green, man, what a call that would have been from the 2-team right there.
As we do have a report for Ethan Smith, and a 99 has officially called it a race. You get to see that for the returning driver of Ethan Smith, but this season has been a topsy-turvy one for a lot of returning drivers for themselves. But looking at the field, majority of the field either pitted on the last caution we had 9 laps ago or pitted under this caution. Top 4 drivers, though, did not pit at our last or second to last yellow. That's Vincent Sora, Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter, and Jared Talmadge. Those are the drivers I'm most concerned about because most likely they're going to have to pit before this race is over. They may need another quick yellow, but the track position can be a big factor from here on out. As we cross over to the halfway of tonight's race, Vincent Sora, Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter, Jared Talmadge, they cross their fingers, hope for the best as we enter the restart zone, and the Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120 is back underway.
Great start from the bottom lane there, the 15 of Vincent Sora. He's got his teammate, but farther back, big moves being made. I think it's John Forbes in the 11 going for it, and Forbes again, very aggressive on restarts.
Absolutely intense moment by John Forbes, who just sent it on the restart. And once again, the drivers setting up and laying back for some. Able to go 4 wide for a quick stint, and now going to be staying 3 wide now on screen. Drivers are mixing and mingling. Joshua Kanata trying to make his way forward, correct back into the top 10. Others are screaming. Oh, Anthony Gaudio. Hard collision into the 24 of Ollie Fonseca. Mason Cassidy's drifting all around on the straightaway. They keep it straight. We stay clean and green, but it's a mess further on back as they continue to stay 3 wide for almost 2 rows deep. They're going to be almost 4 wide off the exit. And Zach, this doesn't look like we're going to be staying clean for very long, and somehow scooting his way through, it's Danny Cochran in the 2.
Wow. That's all I got to say. They were 4 wide. They're on entry, almost 4 wide on exit. That was craziness. And Anthony Gaudio, who we saw hit that major hit into the wall, that broke the right front suspension of that truck. He's having to bring it down the pit road now. So meatball for him, required damage as we somehow stay green from all.
And this back half pack getting dramatic with one another. Also the front pack getting a little bit dramatic as Tyler Dengler in the 19 survives after some slight contact on the entry of turn 1 from Joshua Kanata. And the 19, probably one of his best runs for a race so far this season, and trying to carry a little bit of a magic from this scheme of his girlfriend winning last week in the better half dash, and hoping to find maybe a top 10 run here tonight. Runs an 11, but certainly is not feeling comfortable being surrounded by Sanchez and Thornock, waiting to make the pressure to go forward.
Here we go, side by side, like you said. Can Dingler hold on to the position or not? Because Garcia's fighting strong. And great showing for Garcia, who's had a tough few weeks. And a good showing here tonight, here around the inside, a little loose on entry. He's going to try to clear the 19 as he slides up here off the exit of 4 and will get that job done. Now that's going to open up possibly the door for Jesse Thornock back at 13th and trying to make a move, but up here in front, look at Cody Reed making a move on Matthew Greathouse. This is him back into the top 5.
I've had a couple of just heart-stopping moments. The teammates of Snowy Desert Racing, at one moment, all of the drivers got swept up in the early wreck, or first one of the day, and the way they've been slashing, dashing back and forth, they've almost taken each other out 3 or 4 times, and John Forbes gonna be having issues, and oh no, in front of him, it's gonna be the 51, Nick Crawford involved, same for Kanata and others. Another bizarre wreck, and it's going to be Greathouse spun in front of the field.
Very bizarre, yeah, there. It was almost like Greathouse just knocked it out of gear there, Sam. Like, the truck was going forward, it was doing fine, and then I think he missed the shift, personally.
That's what everyone's saying. Everyone is saying it's a money shift. Yep. Yeah. In a blink of an eye, Greathouse gets caught up in a wreck, but then that contact to Josh Kanata forces required damage to Kanata, but then was waiting for everyone to drive on by, takes off, and hits the very last driver of Martin Morales, who is now going to be dealing with some side damage.
Oh no, this is so crazy to say. The Snowy Desert guys were making it through, doing good, and all of a sudden again, right here into the mishap, you couldn't judge that if you're Nick Crawford. I mean, there's no way to see that coming. Kanata, like I said, catches a bad end of that stick, and now with this caution here, this has definitely set up some interesting strategies. It looks like Reed stays out, the likes of Vincent Sora comes in, and the likes of Danny Cochran, who pit just before that last restart, he's going to come down or stay out.
Cody Reed, Garcia, Dangler, into pit road. How is GT Rosari and others going to be able to move their way forward as a couple of drivers just topping off on fuel? That's GT Rosari, John Forbes just topping off on fuel, Eric Kralik. This is going to push Vincent Sora, who had to get 4 tires and fuel in a very long stop for Sora. He falls all the way back to 15th place after those stops.
Yeah, that was an interesting set of stops. I'm about to see exactly what happened. I saw Sora was, I'm not sure if he was backing up or what, but oh yeah, he got hit by the likes of the 0-0. The 0-0, Thomas Green ran right in the back of him on the entry of his box. That makes the 15 have to back up. Then the 15 he has it in reverse, I think, when he went, so he backed up more and then had to go forward. So just went from bad to worse for Vincent Sora.
It just falls apart massively for the favorite here tonight, Vincent Sora. And those are those bad luck moments. As I was going to actually bring it up before the caution came out. I mean, Vincent Sora and Thomas Green, both runners of the 15 number at some point as in their driving career here at the ISRC Truck Series. As Vincent Sora was the first 15 machine. And once Vincent Sora moved away, it was Thomas Green that took over that number. And this has been a pleasure to watch both of them compete against one another, but we look up front. What a group of our top 3. I don't think anyone could have predicted this as your top 3 at any point during this race when you looked at who was penalized, who's been looking fast. But we have Cody Reed, Samuel Garcia, and Tyler Dangler, your top 3 for this next restart.
This is a grouping right here, Sam. This is going to be fun stuff to watch. And yeah, I don't think you would have put this 3 in your bingo card for a top 3 at one point during the race. So definitely an interesting grouping, but we'll see how this restart plays out with these old tires up front. If you're Danny Cochran, you really like the position you're in. You're on somewhat favorable tires. Same for Samuel Garcia even. I mean, his 10 laps, so about 7 laps fresher than the likes of Tyler Dangler and Cody Reed, who are on the oldest set of tires. But how long before the likes of GTers already someone like John Forbes comes through? I mean, Forbes has gained a ton through this, Sam. Up to 9th. He's got to be the one that has really liked how this is all played out.
It has been a just revolving door of drivers moving forward and back, but I'm excited for this restart. Hopefully you are as well. For everyone that's been watching with us, commenting in the chat, we love the fact that you've been with us. And if you haven't already, there is a feature if you're watching on your mobile app or on the browser of clipping the race. We'd love it if you could go through what's your favorite moment or shocking moment of the race and go in and clip that section. Love to see it. Maybe we can post that section somewhere in our social medias of your favorite spot of the broadcast, as well as after the broadcast is over, go down to the comment section and comment what was your favorite moment of the race. And we also want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We hit a milestone last week. We weren't able to really celebrate it because we didn't have a lot of broadcasts last week, but we have officially hit over 2K subscribers. Thank you to all the fans that have watched us and enjoyed our broadcasts here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Your reward for it? Let's do it. Crank it up. Let's hear what these drivers are roaring here at Gateway for the Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120. The drivers are set. Second half of the race. Can they survive a lap or more? Let's find out as we are green here at Gateway. Everyone from around 15th on back caught up in that mess as the field was just trying to get through, but chaos off the exit of turn 2, where we've had all of our issues strike here this evening. Looks to be contact initiating around the 20, and Jesse Thornock breaking loose in front of the field as the 20, the 91, the 5, and the 9 all heading down into turn number 1, but watch out for the 20 machine as Jesse Thornock off the exit of the corner just about to snap loose right in front of Campbell, Dakota, and everyone else as they scatter around, and they just drivers piling in, trying to scoot their way through. And once again, another caution, bringing another caution. And Zach, this is the gateway that we know and love. These drivers, just one mistake with how compact these drivers are, throws away a lot of great races for others.
Definitely the track we know and love, and the track I think a lot of drivers know and hate too. So they are definitely having some tough nights for a few guys out here. Just cannot get out of even their own way, and it's tough, man. You're shifting like this, and you can see that ride through the grass there, trying to make it through that. This Fonseca, you can see the beat up truck he's had tonight. But just when you're shifting gears, it throws you off the ovals, and cold tires, not surprised to see something like that happen there quickly. As looks like a few others going to take the opportunity to get their trucks worked on here under this caution.
Tyler Dangler going to be one of the first drivers to enter pit road of our front after that yellow flag came out. Also joining Tyler Dangler going to be Nick Crawford, Kanata, Ollie Fonseca, Dakota Moniz, Justin Smith, Jesse Thornock, and Justin Campbell. As it's got to see the quick wreck pop up. We are going to take our first commercial break of the night. Might be our only one. As we step away, we will be back for more coverage of the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series from here at Gateway. It's been a pleasure to give you all the coverage here again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back right after this with more Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120 after the quick commercial break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Zach Hall. Running productions in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. You're watching the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series. tonight's race number 7. Cody, super epic and cool. Gateway 120. We've had quite a few wrecks, but Cody Reed rebounding. Now your leader. He's got it. Samuel Garcia, Danny Cochran, Mason Cassidy in the wings as we're back to green flag racing. 25 is gone as they go down into turn number 1.
Great start from Reed there. Exactly what he needed with these little bit older tires he has up front. But now Garcia, how long before Cochran can fire up those fresher tires and is able to get past the 10 or the 50 and up to the 25, because he's going to quickly have the likes of John Forbes up to his back bumper.
The exit of the corners have been the issues for the field, and no contact. Going to be GT Rosario and Mason Cassidy. They scatter. Drives going to be side by side as they go through 3 and 4. 14 stays low. They're still going to be 2, 3 wide through the field. And staying is Justin Smith to the outside wall, and somehow we stay clean and green. Top 3 in their own zip code. And oh no, it's Mark Morales spun around.
Oh man, this is the breeding of cautions is continuing here, unfortunately, because a lot of people are having mishaps, and we could have had an even bigger wreck than that before from that little bit of a hiccup. But somehow John Forbes, all these drivers saved it miraculously. But unfortunately for the 91 Morales here, it's going to unfortunately bring out that yellow as he was the end of the stick there.
You're going to be seeing the field. And they were scattering around with one another the previous lap, but then just chaos reigns as Dorna goes through. Smith goes high, and wiggle, and I think maybe it was the next lap or lap after, but Mark Morales just gets clipped and spun around. I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things, and Zach, I don't know if you saw on your side, maybe there was net code, but we've seen a lot of awareness issues struggling here tonight.
That one there, looking back at it, Sam, I did get a close look at it. It actually, there was or should I say not surprisingly, with the night out so far, we've seen a little bit of net code, but I think that the contact would have happened regardless of the 20 just kind of veering up the racetrack. I think for Thornock, I just don't think he ever got the call that he was 3, because it happened kind of right as he veered up the track, because he was at a slower speed due to checking up from 14-year Rosario. It just really a bad case of scenarios, and Morales was the one that took the brunt of that scenario. So very interesting situation, and somehow after all that, how it plays out, John Forbes and Vincent Sora, they're both up to 4th and 5th, making it through that incident. That was wild.
I mean, we've seen Cody Reed have his luck to get through wrecks. We've also seen Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora have their own spills of miracles to get to where they're at this current moment. But the laps continue to dwindle away. It'll be about 40 laps to go, maybe a little bit less than 40 laps to go when we go green once again. Here's we could bring up a race report. If you're just joining us, we had our stage. Originally, it was supposed to be our 40 laps, but tonight, we've got 7 cautions, and they've all kind of bubbled up since our first 35 laps that were ran. First 35 laps for clean and green, but since then, it's been maybe 2 laps of green flag racing, maybe a lap, and then we're back to a yellow flag incident. And Zach, it has been a quick bang thing where drivers are just, once they saw that first yellow, all patience went out the window, and it was, we got to take every spot we can now.
It has definitely left the window, that's for sure. There's been a lot more moves being made, and even the one that we didn't get to see a yellow flag happen there with them almost all 4 wide there, it was GT Rosario getting into the back bumper of the driver ahead of him, kind of shooting him up the racetrack. And I mean, there was some saves there that I think a few drivers will probably be going after this race, looking at the replay to get a good look at, because there was some beautiful ones there. Looks like definitely interesting with the strategy, how this is going to play out here, Sam. I'm very curious if we can go long enough here. This is going to play out well for the likes of, in my opinion, Cody Reed or such, because it really helps with his case the longer we go under these yellow flag conditions before we get to take another set.
Interesting to see Danny Cochran going down and utilizing the on-access road. I mean, the off-access road, you go from pit road to the track. And again, a couple of these drivers that pitted 20, 30 laps ago, they're in a spot where maybe they're in fuel management mode. They are going to be trying to save as much fuel as possible, and that could be something that could help out Danny Cochran in the long run by taking that shorter way around and trying to save fuel a little bit.
It very well could. I mean, like I said, they were a little bit short on fuel, so from where Cochran pitted especially. So definitely need to save a little fuel for him. But I think others like Vince Sora, John Forbes, very much a better position. Cody Reed having to pit for fuel. But as you can see, the weather conditions not really changed too much. We have had that track cool down. The air temp went down one temp or 1 degree, sorry there. But that track temp's dropped about 4 to 5 degrees. So we have seen a little bit of track temp gain, and it's hit that midnight time, Sam. So it's going to get wild out there.
Wild out there. Some people might be wondering if there's a full moon. Well, in the sim there isn't. So don't look for bad luck in that aspect. There isn't a full moon in sim, but Danny Cochran once again taking that shorter way around, trying to save as much fuel as possible. But for the drivers that have pitted under our last caution or even under this caution, they should be good on fuel for the rest of this race. So those are the drivers that are from 14th position on back. Should be good, and those are the drivers of Justin Smith, Justin Campbell, GT Rosari, Tyler Dangler, and a couple of other drivers taking their, could be their second to last set of tires with this yellow. It could be their last one that they think about as the field is set, ready to get back to green flag racing. It's gonna be 39 laps to go here for the Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120 Pace Cars into Pit Road race number 7 here this season, officially into the second half of the season, and the field is ready to go. A little bit of wheel spin on the outside for the 50 of Garcia. Inside row, it's gonna be all Cody Reed, Danny Cochran down into turn number 1.
Here we go. Let's see how Cochran can try to fire off, because he knows now he's got his teammate Vince Sora, the likes of John Forbes right behind him. He needs to get out front quickly if he wants to have a chance to fight them all. But here comes Forbes, 3 wide down the back straight with Vincent Sora in the middle.
Most aggressive driver of the night. You can give it to the 11 machine, willing to go 3 wide so many different times. Slight contact into Vincent Sora, who moves up into Thomas Green. Talmadge also going to be in the mix here, but a slight wiggle in front, and it's the 50 in front of Vincent Sora, and the rest of the field scatters. Hard contact from Mason Cassidy, and it's a whole gridlock. The field trying to slow down as it piles in on the front stretch.
Oh, man. Gridlock here in Missouri, I guess you could say, because that was definitely a track cover there. And that is, I think Garcia, like you said, who went around, and it's tough. Garcia was having a really good run and had a mistake last week, kind of made a few things, but I think it might have even been a little bit of contact. We will have to get a look here as we're looking at the back straight. Vince Sora was 3 wide behind him, so they were pushing hard right behind him directly.
I mean, they were pushing for everything to get by one another, but Garcia's the back up on Danny Cochran, and then gasses it up, breaks a little loose, but also that contact by Vincent Sora is really what hurts the 50. And then from here on out, it's just drivers piling into one another. Some able to slow down, others not. As the field tries to squeak their way through, some were lucky, others were not. Trying to just gain a couple of more positions. Christopher Norris, after sitting in pit road for almost 45 minutes, is back out on track, and he might have enough time to make a couple of spots with drivers that have left the session already.
Points are points. We talked about, every point being very useful, and that's definitely what you see Christopher Norris doing here. And I think if we ride on board with Christopher Norris, he's going to get a very interesting sight of how this all plays out, Sam. He's pretty much got the best seat in the house for the stack up that we get on this front straightaway. He somewhat drives through the graveyards in the aftermath of this crazy incident here. As you see that back straightaway, he's just letting people by.
Well, he's letting people by in fifth corner. He's curious what the speed was going to be at, and then backs off. In the corners, he can keep up pretty well. Straightaways, there's just no power left in this 38 machine, but then it's just a wall of smoke that's going to hit the field. And just seeing everyone scatter up, down, it says, you know what, let's just slow down, maybe hit the brake. Drivers are moving, and we're clear through that mess, or are we? Seeing some movement from GT Rosari, and then finally fully clear on the front stretch.
That was a long incident, as I would say. I wouldn't continue on for a while, and man, with this continuing on like it is, I'm liking the chances for Reed and the likes of Cochran to make their tires last a little bit better against the likes of Forbes and Vincent Sora. But I do think they have to hope for a lot of carnage here. And with the carnage we just saw, I think the ability to take tires might be in the realm here of a possibility for us 25-2 still.
We talked about drivers 13th on back being good on fuel and tires. Well, now we could say 13th on back. Drivers have been in pit road for over a minute of getting repairs done. I don't think I've ever seen this before, Zach. 12th on back. Every driver had to sit in pit road for at least a minute or more in length to get damage repairs done.
It was a gaggle of trucks on the exit of pit road there. Late. You normally see 1 to 2 when you have a wreck like that. You'll see 1 or 2 come out right in front of the pace car because they're trying to stay on that lead lap. But I just saw at least 7, 8, 9, 10 of them do that, and it just shows you everybody trying to get as much time and available work done on those trucks, and I think even more coming back down to get work done.
And coming down once again, it's going to be Steve Morales, Justin Campbell, Justin Smith, and more following in suit. And just coming in to get tires and back out on track, going to be 8th place in the 01 of Eric Kralik. He's going to be at 6th, 7th, Jesse Thornock. Our top 5 going to be Cody Reed, Danny Cochran, John Forrest, Vincent Soren, Nick Crawford. I think if you looked at our top 5 during practice before qualifying, the penalties were served out before we went green. This is a solid top 5 that we kind of all expected to be our top 5 just based off of raw speed. And now the question is who's wounded enough to even make it through? And based off the aggression we've seen from John Forbes, what is the 11 going to do? Because, Zach, I know he's trusting his tires on some of the moves he's making, but John Forbes is risking it, it feels like, every restart to take these positions and get up front.
My pick is definitely willing to make a big move tonight, that's for sure. Forbes is, he's optimistic, I think that's the way I look at him. I don't think a lot of times he goes into a situation thinking of what the outcome will be, and that's probably why it works a lot of times, in my opinion. If you overthink someone, you usually do it wrong, and he just kind of goes with the flow. And it definitely makes for some interesting racing up here in the booth. So I gotta give him credit for that, and we'll see now what he tries to do, because he's got his teammate ahead of him. I wonder if they do time this restart a little bit. He's also got his teammate Nick Crawford right behind him, who has the freshest tires of this top 5. And like you said, this probably is the top 5 we would pick if we had to pick 5 of the drivers to perform the best here tonight at this track. And it's just interesting to see how all of them got there in such different ways.
How is the field going to react on this restart? We're stacked 2 by 2 all the way through, and it's Cody Reed, your lead driver. Danny Cochran going to be on the outside. 2 drivers that bickered and fought at the end of our last race that we had 2 weeks ago. They hoped the off week would have settled their bickers, but tonight will it reignite as we're back to green flag racing. The Cody's super epic and cool Gateway 120 is underway. John Forbes trying to get underneath Danny Cochran. He's willing to send it. The 11 and the 2 almost make contact through 1 and 2. And here we go, Zach, off of turn 2. It's Cody Reed with John Forbes risking it all again.
That he is, and look at Vincent Sora. He knows it's important between the battle between him and the 15 or the 11. This could be the battle for the win between these 2 here with the fresher tires and the 2 ahead of him. So we'll see from Forbes' outlook. He's going to have that 15 on the quarter panel off the exit of 4, and that's not what you want if you're at 11. This is going to be tough. Luckily, he's got his teammate Nick Crawford behind, so he doesn't have too much worries from the driver behind him.
Cody Reed getting a little bit of pressure for that lead position. Forbes, though, ships it down into the corner, not able to make the slide job work because the 2 was parked in the center of the corner, not allowing the 11 to utilize the full slide job maneuver. Instead, Nick Crawford giving us a scare, willing to use the opening. He's been doing that a couple of times on the backstretch. How many times were you willing to risk it this late in the race, though? As up front, still Cody Reed, but Reed on the oldest of tires of anyone inside of our top 5, let alone everyone on track. And I'm curious if Cody's going to be able to hold off, because Danny Cochran's making the move to the inside down into turn number 1. The 2 machine, his first attempt for the lead, but Reed ships it and stays high, willing to use all the space in the corner and keeps the lead.
Great job by Reed there to hold on as Cochran knows he's got the 15, his teammate, the 11, and John Forbes behind. He needs to run and hide, but it's Reed doing the best out front. Oldest set of tires. Doesn't matter, though. He showed the speed on the long run, and now he's going to have the threat once again heading down the 1.
And now creeping into our top 5. have to give note. Now, we're going to keep our sights on the lead battle, but for note, 0-1, Eric Kralik, freshest the tires of anyone on track, 6 plays, and right on the tailpipes of the 74, trying to make his way forward. If this race stays clean and green, watch out for Kralik in the next 10 to 12 laps. He might have the tires that can get him into victory lane and play a little bit of shocker. But Cody Reed at this current moment, all his sights are in his mirror of where is Danny Cocker going to place that nose.
Give it 4, give it 5 laps. These drivers with the older sets of tires, their age is going to start to show here as the tire temps and the heat starts to build back up. But Reed doing a fabulous job, because if we get just a few more cautions here, he holds on for 5-10 laps here, if we can get a caution, thoughts of pit road might be on the minds of a lot of people, and we'll see how it plays out. But right now, he is fighting for his life out front.
Were there enough cautions for Cody Reed to be able to go full bore for the rest of this race? Less than 30 laps to go. And Cody Reed, we look back at that first stage, the first 35 laps of this race, Cody Reed was running 2 to 3 tenths faster than anyone on track, and he had made the most passes over everyone on track. The 25 obviously has the long run pace, but does he have the tires to stay ahead of everyone? Because the last time Cody pitted was 42 laps ago, and that was when he took 2 tires. His left side's been on track for almost the whole entire race, as they're 3 wide, battling back for 13th position. Cedric Hunter going to be staying down low. Gaudio in the middle. Thorek going to be on the outside. Staying behind the 7's going to be the 0-0 of Thomas Green. And Hunter will take that 2-for-1 battle as he moves up to 13th. And the battle for the lead is back underway. Danny Cochran with the nose ahead over Cody Reed. And Reed not able to hold off. Cochran holds steady. They're going to be drag racing their way down into turn number 1.
Will Reed repay the favor to the 2? We remember the 2 moved the 25 out the way. Does the 25 give the 2 any slack? We've already seen contact between them early in this race. Will there be contact later now? As Reed a little tight off the exit of 4. It's going to be the 2 closing the door, but the 25 looks to the inside. The 2 looks to cover it off as we continue into 1.
Here we go, down into turn number 1. Will there be contact? Reed to the quarter panel, trying to get to the outside, not able to do so. Instead, it gives an opening for Sora. Sora's now going to be the inside row as they drag race again down the back stretch. And Cody Reed, not in an optimal position. It'll look like his one and only opportunity to give a bump to the 2 might be gone. But here we go to 3 and 4. Zach, round 2. Can Cody Reed get to the bumper?
Game ain't over yet. The Reed is still right here. I don't know if he'll be able to get to the bumper this time, but if he can settle down, not overdrive trying to get there, he can settle in here, maybe pressure that 2 into a mistake. And you can see, make him think about it in the mirror. Don't focus on the 15. You need to focus forward if you're this 25, and he's done an excellent job just stabilizing here as we get going.
I mean, we look at the career of all these drivers. I mean, the majority of them have ran since season 1. Danny Cochran, the inaugural winner of the ISRC Truck Series. But Cody Reed, Danny Cochran, this duel has been mounting up. After the last race incidents, Cody Reed kind of sounded fed up in his post-race interview. Danny Cochran, you look at the history, I mean, he's had the most rivalries of anyone in this series. And he's the one driver that's always had a challenger saying they're willing to give the bumper to the 2. Danny's always been clinching and waiting for that bumper to be utilized on the back. But will tonight be that moment? And Danny Cochran able to scoot away a little bit more off the exit of turn 2 and now onto the front stretch.
Definitely not the breathing room that he possibly wants, but he's holding on for now. But Reed pressuring that 2 machine, and this is an excellent look for Reed. You're on much older tires, and it's showing his prowess at this racetrack. Looking excellent here at Gateway so far, as right now he's putting the pressure on a driver with much fresher tires.
We haven't seen how lap traffic could influence this race, but they are starting to catch up to the 51 of Matthew Greathouse. Other great battles on course is Jared Talmadge trying to get by the 16 of Canada. This is the battle going on for 7th place currently. Talmadge with a great run. Crossover move by the 16. So a little bit more of a wiggle than Canada was hoping for, but he's got positioning down into turn number 1. But GT Rosari and Campbell both have to back off as these drivers squeeze in closer. A huge wiggle by the 14 as going to be seeing GT squeezed up, moving backwards, and now other competition have their chances to take these spots.
Here comes Thomas Green, here comes Cedric Hunter. These 2 have been climbing their way back through the field as now Hunter to the inside of Campbell. this will be the pass for ninth if you can make it happen, but it's still tough. Very, very tough to pass on this bottom. You got to work somebody over. And right now, Campbell, the thorn in the side of the 7, as he's trying to clear him so he can run away from Green, who's been tagged along with him this whole run.
How do you make these passes work as GT tries to just salvage what he can? Watching the great battle in front of him now, as it's going to be watching the 9 of Campbell, the 7 of Hunter, all having their great runs between one another, but it's Green on the outside trying to hold steady between himself and the 7 of Cedric Hunter, and these two had great duels. Think back to season 3 when they were going back and forth, and season 2. Thomas Green will take the advantage for 10th place. Now keep our sights on where the field might gain a little bit more traction as GT Rosari making the power move on the inside. Hunter as well. They'll be keeping it side by side off the exit of turn 2 as they drag race on the backstretch. But Zach, I'm also looking for the battle for 3rd. Vincent Sora, John Forbes. Forbes has been hunting and hounding and almost at moments bumping the rear end of the 15. I think John Forbes wants to make this move quickly.
He knows he's got fresher tires than the likes of his teammate Reed and the likes of the 2 of Cochran, and surprised to see Sora not able to close up to him. My question is the 15 saving a little bit here? Is he trying to back it up? But it doesn't look like it. I think it's a little bit of a struggle for the 15 more than anything. And now Forbes looking to the inside. He's going to have the clear look here into 3. This could be his opportunity to go up here and challenge for a win if he can clear the 15.
Well, also looking back at that first initial run of the race, Vincent Sora was struggling on the long run. Danny Cochran was pulling away from this 15 machine, and now John Forbes has to back off. Didn't have the exact run he was hoping for that passive position with less than 20 laps to go. Make it 18 for tonight's race. There's small little battles here and there. The driver I had circled up of watch out what the speed's going to be like. Aaron Kralik, he's back in pod number 3 battling with Nick Crawford, and the 01 has not made any motion to go forward and might looks to be a little bit too far back, even with fresh rubber, to make any moves.
He's got pace, but just not enough there, Sam. It's going to be tough at the end of the night for him, but if he can pull off a top 5, this would be, I think, a huge run for that 01, who would love to take home some great points here from the Gateway, this Gateway Raceway. It's a tough track, so he'll take that thing.
Almost got a late caution, Justin Smith, and the 6 machine breaking loose after a battle between himself and Mason Cassidy for 17th position. But also looking at our ticker, there's movements going on, and it looks to be the 15 of Vincent Sora, John Forbes, both in a weird spot. Zach, I know weather was a factor a lot of drivers were concerned about heading into tonight's race. A little bit of blinking started to happen with Vincent Sora as well as John Forbes, but great racing on track right here on screen for 8th place.
That it is. Campbell here trying to make the pass on Kanata. This group has stayed stacked up. Those 4. They caught the 16 to Kanata ahead, and now they're trying to make the move as Green continues his charge back forward. That 00 been very, very fast tonight. If he doesn't get himself farther up, I think he'll be disappointed with the run. But right now, on a great recovery.
Thomas Green maybe thought top 5 was in the marks for tonight's race. Instead, just hoping to stay inside of the top 10. Trying to make the pass here on Kanata, and will make it be done. Kanata now has to check up. That'll scare Cedric Hunter in the 7 machine. For Cedric Hunter, the slowest runner of the Cochran Sora Racing team, as Josh Kanata into the outside wall. Gotta be careful of getting too many scrub marks as the field continues their pace going forward. 15 laps to go, about to be 14. Danny Cochran, Cody Reed still our top 2 at the moment. But Zach, I'm curious on how this field continues to race forward with 14 laps to go. Cody has stayed pretty equal, but we're starting to get that transitional phase where Cody was the faster driver on the long run.
I agree. This is when we got right around the 34 lap marker in lap time. He was excellent. Very, very good. And it seems to be that way against him. Where I see his strength is right here. Cochran seems to be a little bit tight, maybe a little too early to the throttle compared to that 25. And the 25 can stay tucked up so tightly through that corner that he's going to have an opportunity. The later we get in this race, this close, it gives him the chance. That bumper is plenty available. It is definitely not out of the realm that this 25 uses that, because I'll tell you what, he remembers 2 weeks ago.
He certainly does. And it has been boiling for 2 weeks at an off break to try to have conversations to calm down the fight between these two, the 2 and the 25. But with 12 laps to go, Cody Reed can sniff a victory and a win that isn't just a road course, but another favorite in Cody Reed's back pocket. He won at Watkins Glen, and now the 25 is hoping to get a win at his most favorite track of Gateway. Felt like he got snubbed the last time that they were here back in season 3. Got into a victory fight with his teammates and with Nick Crawford, and now the 25, 3 seasons later, in the catbird seat. He has an opportunity. If this race stays clean and green, Cody Reed has a chance. But staying clean and green is going to be tough with 12 laps to go because there's a lot of other fights that are happening right now.
The fighting is definitely commencing for sure. As you got Cedric Hunter here, he's still got GT sorry, right to his inside. These two are so close to each other, almost leaning on doors, and it is so close there, said that. That 14 and that 7, they are giving no room to each other, and that, like you said, could very well be the yellow that a lot of these drivers are looking for.
I mean, these two drivers have raced with one another for a long time, plenty of other series as well, and GT Rizzari hoping to find a way to get by Cedric Hunter, and Hunter solidified himself in 10th place. Also another driver going to cross our fingers and hope for the best is John Forbes. The bump draft down into turn number 1, hoping to give a little bit too much momentum to the 7. Cedric Hunter takes the bump and survives the corner. That is a stout holding vehicle, even with all the damage. As you see, GT Rizzari diving it down low, down into turn number 3, but cross your fingers for John Forbes. His internet issues, they do not look to be cleaning up, Zach. They are on the brink of it being dropped out of this race with just 10 laps to go.
It has been flaring up for sure, Sam, for him, and we'll see how it works out. I mean, I've watched his quality. It's gone anywhere from 100 down to like 60s. So he doesn't want that drop below the 50s. That would be very, very dangerous for him, and hopefully it stays together as he's been able to keep the pressure on Meticulously. But these two have pretty much got walked away from the top 2. I mean, these two up front are putting on torrent pace, and Cochran still not out of the woodwork yet here as we're coming to just a mere 8 laps to go. Can Cody Reed be there for the end?
I mean, there's always the talks of, you don't want to give if you're going to give a bump, you're going to retaliate someone. You don't want to give a second chance for them to retaliate back and save the race. Is Cody Reed just trying to make the mark to get close enough to be there at the very end with 1 lap, maybe 2 laps to go, and then maybe if he's close enough, he gives the bump? A lot of questions raising up, but for now, Danny Cochran, Cody Reed continue to pull away from second place battle of Vincent Sora and John Forbes, who are just falling off, no longer really have a chance to catch up to the rest of the field. Update for other drivers with 7 laps to go. Christopher Norris has finally ran enough laps after spending over 45 minutes in pit road getting damage repairs done. He's been able to take his 2 spots away from Ethan Smith and Malik Coates. But that is it, 7 laps to go. Danny Cochran wanting to go back-to-back, and Cody Reed hoping to grab his first win of the season.
This is where Reed's been strong. Look at this run right here off of 4. Can he get the run he needs? And it looks like it evens out, but Reed's still just close enough. And like you said, Sam, all drivers know, if you're going to move a driver, if you're going to do it, don't allow them to do it back to you. You have to be able to get that done and get away either, or time it well enough to where they don't have enough time to get back to the bumper. But Reed's keeping the pressure on. I think if there's going to be any sort of opportunity for a pass, it's going to be coming off of 4 here, down in the 1 for Reed, because right here has been his bread and butter. Look at this on the exit once again, just much more speed carry.
Just carry the speed, and he has a shallower exit point compared to Danny Cochran that kind of lets the machine drift up to the wall and kind of has to back off at times. Gives Cody Reed a chance, and then off the exit of turn 2, Danny Cochran's able to carry a lot more speed. He's willing to keep his foot in the throttle, and Cody is a little bit more conservative off the exit. But the dirty air also is forcing the 25 to try these different positionings and runs. With 5 laps to go, soon to be 4, Cody Reed closing in. That last lap, Danny Cochran was faster. This go around, it looks to beat Cody Reed faster by how close he is. And that last lap, Zach, looking at the difference, these drivers, 2 by a 10th difference between Danny Cochran and Cody Reed. 4 to go, and Reed's within striking distance.
He's putting the pressure on.
Caution!
Oh, the yellow!
And it's GT Irizarry.
Oh no, this is not what Cody Reed wanted to see. And this looks like it was contact between the 00, the 9 of Justin Campbell, and GT Irizarry just minding his own business involved in this one here.
Bump drafting gone wrong. As the drivers were trying some aggressive moves, maybe it was a slight movement of the wheel, but super speedway tactics at a short track type racetrack doesn't always go right. And Ethan, it's going to be seeing these guys getting into one another, and GT Irizarry getting the worst of it with contact between Justin Campbell, Thomas Green, and Green's over aggressiveness. Man, that's a hard hit.
Such a tough break for GT there, who was making a great late race charge there. I mean, he made the pass past 700. He was getting past Green. Then he was about to pass Campbell. So very interesting scenes. But this is the more interesting one, in my opinion. We're coming to pit road. What do you do, though, Sam? Do you throw right sides only? Do you do 4? There's going to be a lot of different strategies right here.
Or do you stay out? 4 drivers are staying out. Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, Anthony Gaudio, GT Irizarry going to be staying out on track. And the rest of the field, 4 tires. Or do you take 2? Seen a lot of drivers take 2, and it's been successful. And we are heading into overtime, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3 attempts if needed, and we're going to be going into our first with the gutsy calls of drivers entering pit road. Danny Cochran was the first to enter pit road, but there's other drivers that have taken 2 tires and fuel. 2 tires goes to John Forbes, Andy Eric Kralik. Danny Cochran is losing all positions and times. The 2 drops all the way back. Save for Cody Reed from the first place position. Danny Cochran will fall all the way back to 11th.
Man, oh man, Sam, I think I don't know what call's gonna be right here. I think 2 might have been the call to make for sure. But if these tires cool down enough, if they do, will Nick Crawford be able to steal another victory? Nick Crawford always one to do this, and man, he's pulled it off before. Let's see if he can do it again. I mean, the likes of GT Irizarry was involved in that incident. He stayed out, so you know, top 6 here, all on old tires. Top, 7th there. John Ford was the first one out on the fresh set. I like these odds if I'm Nick Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, staying out just seemed like the right call to make because of the fact that we have so many drivers with different strategies. You're going to have drivers that are going to be making some daring moves. I think with John Forbes, one of them is going to be probably making the biggest daring move with the first driver with 2 tires. We're going to maybe see some wrecks. I don't think we're going to be utilizing just 1 attempt at overtime. We have 3 if needed. With the way that we've seen the aggression level ramp up just from lap 30 of this race to now, it goes up to just another level. We might be off the scale at this point with drivers making some big moves that might be costly. And if we look back to season 3, the one time they ran at this racetrack, there were some drivers on that last lap of overtime, white flag with all the wrecks that happened. Some drivers went from 20th to the top 10 finish. We can be seeing that here tonight with the ways these moves might be laying down, getting ready for our first attempt at overtime.
Oh, man, I mean, if you're Cody Reed right now, I think you're sick to your stomach seeing how this is all shook up. But again, like you said, I mean, we've seen before, the wrecks could happen up front. It could be any one of these drivers here on the lead lap that can win. We have 20 drivers that straight up have an opportunity because we've seen the track. It can be covered up completely by wrecking drivers, or I mean, we could see it just go completely green. I mean, there's so many different ways this can go, Sam. I am thoroughly surprised by how this strategy is played out, and just shows you that late race cautions can throw such a needle into a haystack.
Well, buckle up, get yourself ready. This is going to be a crazy restart for tonight's race. If you haven't already, might as well hit that share button, get as many people, get as many eyes on this restart. This is going to be our first of 3 attempts at overtime. We don't have to use all 3 attempts, but the way that this works, we will have a green-white checkered. It'll be 2 laps to go when we take the green. If we get a caution under our first lap, we will go into overtime attempt number 2. But if the drivers are able to keep it clean and green and get the white flag and complete at least 1 lap, these drivers will then race it to the end. White flag, next flag will be the checkered. So the drivers know Get that white flag, the gloves are off. Anyone correct to win tonight's race. We've seen some of these moves. Some drivers willing to go 3 wide, some might go 4 wide. Oh, it's going to be dramatic. Hopefully you're ready for it. Tonight's race has been a dazzler. You thought Danny Cochran and Cody Reed were going to give us the show to the end of this race. Well, they're stuck in the middle of the pack. Up front, about 6 drivers did not pit. And the pace car into pit road will be the tires. Will it be fresh ones? Will it be old? Will it be track position? Let's find out. This is the Cody Super Epic and Cool. Gateway 120 is underway. Crawford already 3 car lengths ahead. We're 4 wide down into turn number 1.
Here we go, John Forbes, Sam. He's the first one to take the opportunity. You knew he was going to do it. He's up the 3rd. He's going to have the best chance, but we might be wrecking off a 2.
They're going to be 4 wide deeper in the field. They're going to be a hard block from Cedric Hunter onto John Forbes. Cedric Hunter continues to block high, low. We're now going to be forcing the 11 to the outside lane. Nick Crawford, though, going to be trying to stay ahead of his teammate. John Forbes has been willing to do anything that will get a win, and he's now going to get ahead of his teammate. Off the exit of turn number 4, we stay green. We get the white flag. It's teammate on teammate down into turn number 1. Here we go, Zach.
How does Nick defend this? I don't think he'll have much tire to do it because look at the 11 already to the quarter panel and off of 2. The Forbes going to have a clear back straightaway. He's looking to get his first win while they're almost wrecking behind. Cochran, Sora 3 wide with their teammate Cedric Hunter.
John Forbes has saw so many opportunities to get a win this season. Thought he was going to be race number 1 at Daytona. Wasn't the case. But off of turn number 4 for the Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120. Give the win to John Forbes in the 11. Side by side for 2nd. And it's going to be Nick Crawford holding back Danny Cochran. And it's John Forbes drifting it, having some fun. And Zach, I'm surprised it took him 7 races. It was bound to happen. John Forbes breaks the championship curse and wins the season after getting a championship.
That's a way to break the curse right there, man. He's had a couple get away from the season, and he's going to steal this one here tonight at Gateway. Didn't have the all-out pace to win it, but man, oh man, he timed the right strategy. I love the 2-tire call, and he's able to pull it off. And Nick Crawford, 2nd place by 1,000th of a second. Sam, the side draft, the strategy call, that was excellent stuff from the 74 team.
Hey, you also got to give kudos to Danny Cochran, Vincent Soar, Cody Reed. All 3 of those drivers started in the middle of the field on that restart and able to climb into your top 5. What a run for themselves. But the driver that's going to enjoy it the most, John Forbes, finished 2nd at this race with the only time that they ran it before tonight. And now will take the victory. Congratulations, the 11 machine to John Forbes. But for us up in the booth, we're going to step away. When we come back, we're going to talk to our top 3 in a spotlight driver, get their thoughts on tonight's race. Woo, it was a good one. Only needed 1 attempt at overtime. Congratulations to John Forbes. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Race number 7 is in the books. The Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120 certainly had some fireworks, had some spills of who was going to get the win, but ultimately it goes to the 11 machine of John Forbes. John, congratulations on the win. You broke a couple of curses. We saw some internet issues popping up there late, but ultimately you break the championship curse. You are the first past champion to get into victory lane the season after. Man, how are you feeling after tonight's run?
Honestly, just relieved. I knew it was coming one of these weeks, and we finally played a strategy into our hands and won it. I've made the wrong call so many times, had penalties in the past, all kinds of stuff that they could throw at us. So finally got it done tonight. I think Nick or somebody had tried 2 tires before, and it just seemed like the left side just weren't wearing enough. So this race had everything, though. It had the internet issues with like 10 to go. Those were scaring me. They had the wrecks through the whole race. I fixed some damage. I had Norris on top of my truck at one point in this race. So it was really just a race of survival.
That it really was, John. I tell you what, man, great drive, great win, and congrats on the first one of the season. I'm sure many more to come. I mean, how does it feel to come out of this stretch? Now you came in tonight, after the off week with the points lead. Now to get the win, just kind of to build even more momentum with the final 4 regular season races. This has got to feel great.
Yeah, oh for sure. It's just every week we come in here just trying to win, and it weighs on you at a point. You're so close so many times, just coming home second, and it gets real old real quick. So then you start to get the doubts like, why can't I win? Like what's wrong with my setup? Is it me? Like what's the issue? And the bad luck plays a part as well. So just to finally get it done, it's gonna take a lot of relief off me for the next 4 weeks where I can just lay back. I mean, obviously I was locked into the playoffs pretty much before on points, but just seeing a win on the column for the points now is gonna help a lot. It sucks looking at that thing every week, seeing everyone around you with at least 1 win, some of them 2. So to finally get it done and be on that same level with everyone, it's really, really nice.
John, I mean, talking about the fact that you had Norris on top of you at one moment, it just seemed like Snowy Desert Racing as a team, you guys just couldn't get away from some of the incidents is early on in this race. How was it trying to have that mental fortitude to keep on battling forward, knowing that you guys kept on being swept up in the first couple of early cautions?
Yeah, honestly, just keeping the truck clean and making it through. Like, obviously, the incidents are going to happen around everyone, but not like getting spun out. And like, there were some big saves I had tonight that realistically kept my truck in one piece at least. So just staying out of the trouble the best you can, avoiding it. You look at someone like the Cup Series, like Denny Hamlin, he's really good at doing that as well. So just trying to take those like characteristics of some of the real drivers and just playing it into your cards on the sim. It really helps, and it really put all of us in position tonight. Except like Norris, he unfortunately got taken out, but I mean Nick was in everything tonight, and he still came home with a pretty decent finish with the circumstances. So just as a team, we've been really good at that so far this season, and we're gonna definitely keep it up.
It was absolutely incredible to watch yourself and your team get to where you are. Congratulations on this win, John. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Thank you. Thank you guys for the broadcast tonight. I want to thank GD Performance Mods for being on the truck every week, and eFlex Fuel. Go check out their Plus system you can install in your car, and then GD Performance Mods on Instagram, and all the friends and family watching tonight.
John Forbes looks like the most aggressive driver of the night, and the aggression paid off. The 11 is your winner here for the Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120. Congratulations, John. Enjoy this one, and good luck at Charlotte next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place, where it was a margin of not just inches, might have been centimeters on getting to second. We've got Nick Crawford with us. Nick, you fought, you climbed, you took a gamble at the end. You almost got the win. You had to fight for second there with the drag race to the start-finish line, and you come away second. Man, how are you feeling after the roller coaster of a race that you and your team had?
I have no idea why I'm here in second place. I'll take it. But after seeing that Robert picked me, I just felt like I had to do something to get up there. I didn't have the speed. I couldn't figure it out all night, even in qualifying. I'd watch a lap and just couldn't figure it out. So I'm just really happy that the strategy and luck went my way tonight. Whether I had to give up a little bit and got a lot at the end.
How surprised, Nick, were you to see that many drivers commit to come down, and some even take 4 instead of the 2-tire strategy, such as your teammate John Forbes did?
Yeah, I've been making it a habit now of checking the left side wear. It seems like lately with certain tracks, especially these flat ones, they don't wear as much. So I was surprised to hear 4, especially guys that needed the track position, because if I saw the 6, 7, 8 people staying out, I would have taken off lefts right away. But I think it's just enough of an advantage because they just weren't wearing a lot. So I was a little bit surprised.
I mean, Nick, I think the big thing we have to talk about throughout this whole entire race, you were the only driver willing to play games, maybe play what we call chicken with the open gap on the backstretch. What was going on with your thoughts of going and using the opening on the backstretch throughout this race?
There's more grip up there. No, it's just having fun. I like to have fun in the race, and those long green flag runs can get kind of boring. And then sometimes you can psych out your competitors because of all sometimes net code. But it's just more fun than anything, just to get people talking. But yeah, I don't know if it really helped, but I had a good time with it.
Well, it certainly spooked me at moments, and we're happy that no one found themselves in trouble following you on your daring charges around that opening. But Nick, congratulations on second, and before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Of course, I always have to shout out my beautiful wife, the most amazing person in the world. Want to shout out my teammates. Heartbreak for Cody. I think he really had a chance there at the end. And then Norris got taken out pretty early. But good win on John. I'm glad he broke the championship curse, Sam. He broke it. We can go back to normal. But I'm glad he broke that. Shout out to you guys for putting on the show, and then shout out to admins for all they do in this league.
It certainly was impressive to see him break that curse. Congratulations, Nick, on a second place finish. Enjoy this one, and good luck at Charlotte, a track that we know that you have very good success at.
Thank you. Bye.
As we move from second place, we go down to third. A driver that was fighting. Thought at one moment the win was in his grasp, but then it slipped right on through with a late yellow. We've got Danny Cochran with us. Danny, third place finish. I mean, dominance could be the phrase or the word that we could use for how you were looking for most of the night. But how are you feeling coming away with third place at the end of the evening?
I feel like the ISRC Truck Series does what it always does. Somebody loses talent or just decides to kill themselves inside of 10 to go and think, let's make the end of this race stupid. But yeah, no, I mean, we were for sure, if not the fastest, one of the 2 fastest trucks all night. I mean, it sucks for things to turn that way, to turn sour. But I mean, we should have seen that coming with the track record and history. Maybe one of these days I'll learn not to take 4 inside of 10 to go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We even with less than 20 or with 26 cars, we still find a way to junk it inside 10 to go.
Definitely a tough break there, Danny, man. I know you wanted to bring home that victory with the dominant run you had here tonight, but at least getting back to third, can save a little bit of those orals. And how do you feel going into Charlotte? Do you feel like you can carry at least, the fact that you've been really, really fast through a lot of these races, breaking through 2 weeks ago to get a win, now here tonight with a dominant performance? Do you feel like you can continue that heading into these final 4 regular season races?
No, because it doesn't matter. I mean, we get down to the end of these things. It doesn't matter if you're 25th or 1st. They're going to inevitably wreck somewhere throughout the field, and it's just going to turn the thing into a lottery. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you are. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how fast I was this week or next week or any week for that matter. It's still going to end the same way.
Well, I mean, speaking of Rex, Danny, we know that Cody was upset based off his interview at the end of our last race. Was there any worry coming to the end of the race before that late yellow that Cody was going to give you a bump to kind of get you out of the way for that win?
I wouldn't call it a worry. I mean, I expected it. That's fair. I wouldn't be mad at him if he did. In fact, we did make contact go one time into turn 1 when he was on my back bumper. It was right after I got clear of him out of 4 there. No, I don't blame him. That's just hard racing.
Well, Danny, we're excited to see how yourself and your team are going to continue to kind of show the rest of the pack on your true speed here at these racetracks. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shoutouts.
I do owe a big apology to the 24. I straight drove through them off of 2. It wasn't my intention to drive through them, but I did. I guess it looks pretty rough after the moving the 25 last week, but this one actually genuinely wasn't on purpose. I mean, I hate it for the CSR guys because, Cedric and Vincent, I guess we got okay finishes there, but it doesn't show at all how dominant our trucks were this week, how fast the drivers were. But again, it doesn't matter. So, highlight threads, Larry for President 2024. Thank y'all for broadcasting, and we'll see you next week either on the podium or on the wrecker. It's usually one of the two.
Well, that will be the 2 machine of Danny Cochran coming away with the 3rd place finish here tonight. Congratulations, Danny, and good luck next week at Charlotte.
Thanks, guys.
Well, from 3rd place, we go down to talk to the one, and got one of many drivers that had to recover after an incident. We fall all the way down to 6th position. We find Jared Talmadge. Jared, I mean, you were, like I said, one of many drivers that had to rebound after being caught up in a wreck, for some multiple wrecks. You come away with the top 10 at the end of the night. How are you feeling after the performance that you showed in a lot of speed in those first 30 laps?
Pretty happy, honestly, coming with the top 10 after I kind of thought it was over there when we got spun early off of netcode. But honestly, pretty happy with the top 10. I didn't practice at all for this race, so I don't really run that good at gateways, so I didn't expect much. But to have speed and qualify up front and be able to stay up there for the start was really good.
Well, it definitely worked out pretty well for you, Jarrett, there to work your way back through, man. So congrats on the recovery drive. That was a really excellent job. After this run here tonight, it's going to move you up to 28th in points. You're a good ways out because you've missed, a few races there by not starting the season when we first did. Do you think there's an opportunity, though, in these last 4 races that you could go out there and get a win or point yourself in still?
I don't know how far back I'm going to be on points. To be honest, here they posted them. Hang on. I don't think points are going to be the point, and is going to be an option. I think we're going to have to win, and I do like the next couple tracks coming up. Pretty confident with my speed at them if we could play it right and maybe get a win. I like Charlotte and Pocono, and then obviously you got Lime Rock and Vegas, but I don't think points are really going to be an option. I think we're too far back, so we're going to have to go all out there for a win, I think.
Well, like you said, you got a couple of really good tracks in front of you. You're a past winner at Las Vegas, hoping that you can find a little bit more of that magic again. Jared, this season, we have a lot of drivers that have returned for this season 6 that kind of stepped away in the last 2 or 3 seasons in the past. How has it been being a returning driver and racing with a group that you used to run with just 2-3 seasons ago?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Still get to race with the same people, Danny and Vincent's here now and John. So it's a lot of fun. And like, I don't know, it's just cool racing with everybody. You race 2-3 seasons with, see how much better they've gotten at the sim and stuff like that.
Well, it's been awesome to see you trying to compete with them as well, Jared. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any more shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to everyone that runs the league. I guess I got to give a shout out to my teammate Thomas and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for giving us a show to cover. That will be your 6th place finisher in the 10 machine of Jared Talmadge. Congratulations, Jared, on the finish, and good luck next week at Charlotte.
Thank you.
Well, from interviews, we get prepared to take a look at our unofficial results here tonight at Gateway. Certainly a race that I think drivers are going to look back in again. You can hear the frustration from Danny Cochran, the elation from John Forbes and Nick Crawford. There's polar opposites when you think about this track, and the same is on the feelings of just running this track in general, as John Forbes will take the victory. Nick Crawford will come away in 2nd, Danny Cochran 3rd, 4th goes to Vincent Sora, Cody Reed able to move up to 5th, Jared Talmadge 6th, 7th goes to Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter up to 8th, 9th goes to Anthony Gaudio. That's an impressive run for the 3, and Aaron Kralik, top 10 run for the 01, who is just trying to point his way into the playoffs and will be 15th after tonight's race. I mean, Zach, look at other drivers, though. Certainly those that fell off, they've got a lot of work. They want to make playoffs.
Yeah, definitely a lot of work for a lot of these drivers right here. As you see GT there fell back to 12th after that incident between him and Campbell, who also finishes 11th right around him. And tough break for those guys. Tough night for Ali Fonseca back in 16th. And then also you had the return of Ethan Smith, but it ends back in 26th. Tough break for him because had such an excellent run, but it'll be fun to see how Ethan can bounce back at Charlotte and get things figured out as the season goes on, because definitely, get the rust knocked off, so to say. And he did a good job tonight with the speed, though, to start with.
I mean, for Ethan Smith, it's kind of a full circle couple of races. Gateway, one of his last wins that he grabbed here in the ISRC Truck Series. And next week at Charlotte, last race that he ran before he had to take his season and a half break of the Truck Series. But for John Forbes, victory, but ultimately breaking the championship curse. There's been no champion in the past that has won a championship and then the next season won a race. John Forbes is the person. I gotta say, Zach, he's in the picture of 4 other competitors as well that are trying to become the first 2-time champion of the Truck Series. And I think John Forbes just made a major stamp that he's still in the fight for that championship.
He has, Sam. It's proven for sure that he is definitely in the fight. Glad he could pull it off. Got my second pick done here tonight, and that was really good job by him. Definitely, probably not one he felt like he deserved the most, but he'll take it for the ones he lost earlier in this season, and he'll definitely move on. Looking forward to continue with the points lead.
Well, here's what our upcoming week is looking like, as tonight we just got done with the ISRC Truck Series. They'll be back next week with Charlotte. Tomorrow night, we are unsure if we're going to be having that broadcast for sure or not, as it will be the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series, as those drivers get prepared to continue on their march in the playoffs and the chase as they go to Homestead on Tuesday night. WSSR on Wednesday night, though, that is a race that you do not want to miss. The beginning of the championship round. 6 drivers are slotted in, and only one can win the Season 8 championship. Got 2 races to finalize who will take that championship. This Wednesday is the first of 2. Thursday, they still have an off week for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, so they'll be back next week. And next week, Zach, excited for it. A full week of coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
That I am the same. Happy for that, Sam. Definitely to get back in full swing of things. It's going to be good to see, and definitely some big races coming out through the rest of this week. And then back, like you said, after next week, we'll be back running it full time, and that's going to be very fun to see and plenty of racing action to go around. So like Sam said earlier, if you haven't yet, share out the broadcast that we had tonight with the exciting finish we had, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed it too, because you can come back around and watch all the other action we have.
Cannot wait for more racing action throughout the week. Remember as well, when the broadcast is over, go down in the comment section. Comment what your favorite moment of the race. Were you shocked? Did you have a moment that you kind of hated and you wish didn't happen? We love all the different emotions people have for racing. Like we heard under interviews, Danny Cochran, very upset and not happy with the way that his race ended, nor is he happy with the way that the ends of these races have been going. But joy and elation hits the likes of Snowy Desert Racing, who finished 1-2 here this evening. Can't wait for more racing action. Again, thank you so much to everyone who subscribed to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We have hit officially over 2K subscribers, a milestone that we've been trying to hit for a while, and it's an honor that we've hit it. I mean, Zach, kind of want your thoughts on the fact that we finally hit 2,000. I know for Robert, he's happy on the fact that we finally hit that marker, but as someone who's been here longer than I've been here, what is it like for you to know that we finally hit this milestone?
It's crazy, man. I remember we hit 1,000, so it takes me back to that, and even just the start of everything. So it's been an amazing ride. Shout out to Robert, the mastermind behind it all. I've just been riding along, trying to make sure we call these races, get better as we go, and of course we had you come along, Sam, and I think that really upped everything. And ever since then, we've been on the up and up. So I have thoroughly enjoyed my time here, and can't wait till we hit 3,000, maybe one day 10,000, and the sky's the limit, maybe 100,000.
Who knows what we might hit, but a huge thank you also to all those that are viewing with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining with us on your Monday night for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Race 7 is in the books. The Cody Super Epic and Cool Gateway 120. Victor goes to the 11 of John Forbes. Congratulations to John Forbes, but just 4 more races are left to figure out who's making the top 16 in points, and we'll be racing for the Season 6 championship. Cannot wait for the next 4 races on the books. It's going to be a fun one for us here tonight. Again, thank you for joining with us. Congratulations to John Forbes, and good luck next week at Charlotte. But tomorrow night's going to be a pleasure to cover if we're able to. It will be the BRB Cup Series action as they head to Homestead. But if we are not covering that, we'll see you on Wednesday night for the WSSR Cup Series, the beginning of the championship round for those drivers. 2 races. Who's going to be crowned the champion? Don't want to miss out on our next 2 broadcasts that will be here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.